Welcome to America's Day at the Races on FS2. Good to be with you. Program brought to you in part by America's Best Racing. For the love of the race, visit americasbestracing.net. Today, Greg Wolf alongside New York Racing Association handicapper Andy Serling for our Friday action. Big weekend coming up.
I agree. You're looking great, Greg. I didn't just mention that. Yeah, no, it's a good weekend coming up. Terrific action, Oaklawn Park with that excellent Azari, and of course, big race down at Tampa Bay Derby. But a lot of interesting races there as well, and some fun action here. Yeah,
we got a really interesting race here. Our feature later coming up. Do you go with Bobby Bowe off a 19-and-a-half-month layoff, or do you say today's the day to beat him?
Well, the track is definitely tilted towards horses that are saving ground on the rail. And he is the controlling speed, assuming he can run at all anymore. So betting against him becomes a dicier situation. For me, if a horse is going to be a favorite and they're coming off a 19-month layoff, yeah, I'm always going to be betting against them. But the racetrack may help him a great deal here. Still, I'm going to hope he's a bit vulnerable.
Thoroughgraph-wise, his numbers did not stand out. Obviously, talent-wise, it looked like he stands out here. He faced, last time we saw him on the racetrack, American Revolution, who he was a runner-up to, became a Grade 1 winner of the Cigar Mile.
Yeah, I mean, he was losing at 1.8 miles to American Revolution. That sort of puts it all into perspective. But Golden Code, a horse that won't be his 8-1 morning line, but he's a horse that ran a very effective second in the Gotham, and maybe he, too, was a horse that benefited from a return last time, coming off that long layoff, not 19 months. But the way this track is playing and the way the rail's been an advantage, if Bobby Bowe clears, it's going to help him. But then again, if he's just not ready to run, it may not matter.
Meanwhile, feature out in Hot Springs, Arkansas at Oaklawn. They're 8th on the card, 6-furlong sprint. Arkansas bred, allowance, non-winners of 2 in this spot. This is a good group that's going to line up. One way or another, I guess, is the one to beat in here for Randy Morse. 2 narrow defeats the last 2 starts.
I really think it depends on where you feel about the song one way or another, whether or not you like him, and that's really the question for Paul LaDuca.
Paulie, do you like the song, and do you like this 4-year-old filly today?
I like a little bit of both, one way or another. Obviously, a little shout out to Joan Jett, but you know, if you guys remember, this was the horse, Andy, that you felt, and I actually felt a little bit, that Martin Garcia probably should have opened up a little bit more and run fearless in the middle of the racetrack, ran her down right on the square that day. And, you know, Pattern Bet was the other horse in here that was just getting an awful trip. She got backed up, and it's really hard to tell if she had any punch late. Bejarano was trying to swing her outside, but he had to go down towards the rail. So now watch as the horse on the complete far outside is going to rip the front runner. And Garcia maybe should have pushed the button a little bit earlier, but Torres just nailed him on the wire. And you can look at Pattern Bet and think, okay, Pattern Bet is the other horse in here, but maybe this is a more difficult situation going on today, or at least more difficult races. But those are the 2 fillies I think that you're going to have to beat, obviously, in the feature. And then when it comes to Bobby Bowe, I think you can only bet Bobby Bowe on July 1st. He gets $1.19 million till 2035, and he's 72 years old. So I'd lay off Bobby Bowe today.
I have an important baseball-related question for you, Paul. Are you aware that Joan Jett is a big baseball fan?
Yeah, she's a giant baseball fan. I'm very aware of that.
Big Orioles
fan. And a lot of people don't realize who has one of the biggest collections of memorabilia, Charlie Sheen.
Is that right? Well, Joan Jett sat with us at the Orioles-Yankees playoff games at Yankee Stadium, and she was scoring the games. She was really into it. It was great. I, of course, had no idea who she was, but, I mean, I know Joan Jett is. I just didn't realize that was Joan. No, I'm well aware of who Joan Jett is. I just didn't realize it was her until a friend of mine told me, I think, the second night.
All right, to make it up to her, you're going to have to get her to Saratoga this summer. We'll see. Paulie, we'll get back to you in a bit. Thanks. Let's set up our live action. We're closing in on the 5th at Aqueduct. Yes?
I know who Joan Jett is. I knew who Joan Jett was from the start.
Okay.
The Runaways, I know it all. I just didn't realize it was her.
Today's action presented by Claiborne Farm. Races 5 through 8 coming up. The late pick 4. We're fast here in New York and Oaklawn. We'll have their entire late pick 5 labeled as good on the main track in Hot Springs. You can, of course, play all the action by getting signed up, started with Naira Bets. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. Go to nairabets.com. New members get this $200 deposit match sign-up bonus with that code right there, bonus 200. and play along. Again, the website, NYRABets.com. Huge showdown in the Distaff division for fillies and mares tomorrow, which we will bring you live. Grade 2 Azeri from Oaklawn. Last year's Kentucky Oaks winner, Secret Oath, back in action for her 4-year-old debut. She's got a good one to tackle returning in Clairiere. We'll talk more about it when we come back.
A Grade 1 winner of nearly $2 million, Silver State hails from the sire line of legendary Claiborne Stallion Danzig. And his second dam is full sister to Kentucky Derby winner Monarchos. After winning the Oaklawn Handicap, Silver State defeated Knicks Go in the Grade 1 Metropolitan Handicap. Now his first foals have arrived. Grade 1 winner Silver State, standing at Claiborne Farm.
It's Secret Oath in front, opening up, but Echo Zulu's gonna fight on toward the rail. Nest is coming, Desert Dawn is there. Final 16th, Secret Oath wanders over to the rail. She's clear by 2. Nest a final try, but Wayne can still train. Secret Oath wins the Kentucky Oaks.
The legendary D. Wayne Lucas, the coach, with a huge victory in the Kentucky Oaks with his super filly, Secret Oath. In last year's Kentucky Oaks, she dominated that first half of the season in the 3-year-old filly division.
And you know, it's funny that she's running in the Azeri, right? Azeri? Is that right? Okay. Because Wayne took over, as you well know, the training of Azeri late in her career. And a lot of people kind of thought she was done. And she ran against Sightseek at Belmont, where I think is now the Phipps, and Sightseek blew her off the racetrack. But they went up to Saratoga, and the Go for Wand, Azeri was able to turn the tables. So you never want to count Wayne out, even though this filly obviously tailed off last year.
Yeah, when the spinster with her too, late in her career, but Ordisa Rowe did such a tremendous job with Azeri early on in her career when she was a champion.
Her personal ensign, where she ran second a mile and a quarter, was an incredible performance through a wicked pace.
This year's addition, 2 returnees. So not just last year's Kentucky Oaks winner, Clairiere, coming back for her 5-year-old campaign. D. Wayne Lucas, of course, has won this race 3 times prior.
And one thing you know about Wayne, he doesn't care that Clairiere is there. He's not thinking about that. He doesn't think that way. He doesn't duck horses. He runs his horses. Northsider, you know, there's a famous Northsider story. Northsider lost a race, it may have been the Hempstead, which became the Ogden Phipps at Belmont. Pat Day kind of fell asleep. And a horse named Ms. Eloise was trained by Phil Johnson, nailed her right in the money. She was a big, big closer. And they never rode Pat. They didn't ride Pat Day for over a year, I think. After that race, they blamed Pat for the defeat for falling asleep on Northsider. He's a good
But
horse.
eventually all is forgiven.
Yeah, I think Pat wrote a few winners for Wayne over the years.
Well, we'll see if he can collect number 4. She's obviously going to be one of the big favorites in that race. Excited to see her come back. We will have live coverage of that Grade 2 Azeri for you in the program tomorrow. Let's get back to live action. 4th race from Oaklawn coming up in just about 7 minutes. They're on the track with the post parade coming up here momentarily. 6 furlongs here, $25,000 claiming race. And right now it's Slam Dunk Sermon. Current favorite, just beat a neck, was with Steve Asmussen, claimed, now with Cody Rosen.
Yeah, I sometimes wonder about a horse like this that's changed hands so many times, and no disrespect to Cody Rosen, but I mean, in Steve Asmussen's barn, claim from Diodoro. And I just wonder how reliable is a horse that can win the race, but also doesn't have much speed.
Totalizer went by, as did Big Nick at 8-1. Here's Mojo Man.
I think Mojo Man is dangerous turning back off his last, and I'd be using him.
Lake Radio, Kenny Smith, Ricardo Santana Jr.
Has run some reasonable figures in the last couple of races, dropping back in the claiming race. Lacks speed as well.
Yeah, wants to see some pace up front here. Slam Dunk Sermon.
That's the thing. I mean, I know Big Nick is the speed, and he's probably not good enough, but I worry about this horse lacking speed.
Windcracker, 8-1. Greg Compton trains. Bejarano rides.
It seems to be a theme. Now, this horse, believe it or not, might be able to be, he's got no speed.
Correct me if I'm mistaken, I believe this was one of 3 in the, was it the Hopeful for Steve Asmussen back as a 2-year-old?
It's a good call. Yeah, this horse was actually the favorite for Ahmed Zayat in the Hopeful back. Steve won it with Shoplifter, I want to say. Does that sound right?
I'll double check on that.
I think it was Shoplifter. He's a better dirt horse. His last was bad, but he's Diodoro off the claim. But Diodoro's numbers off the claim with dirt sprinters. Here to give you an example, we talk about how great he is off the claim with routers. At Oaklawn, off the claim with sprinters, he's just 43 for 191, which for mortals is good, but for him it's around 23% and a $1.60 ROI. So his success off the claim in Oaklawn is primarily, or the more success, is with horses going around a ground.
4 minutes to post. Let's go back to Paulie.
Thanks, guys. Yeah, a confusing race to me because I just don't really know who's going to get to the front in here. There's a lot of horses that are just backing up in distance or don't have any pace. You look at the one Totalizer, dead closing sprinter. You know, Big Nick, is that the pace in here? And, you know, he's a kind of horse that's been claimed for 16. He's taken a couple fields gate to wire at this kind of level, but I do think there's some better horses in here. You know, Mojo Man, the 3 is coming out of a mile race. He does have a race where he did wire a field. It was his best race, a 92 buyer that day. So I'm wondering if the 3 sits in a really good spot. And this horse is getting hammered at the window, down to 2-1. Well, you look at the 4, Lake Radio, closing sprinter, Slam Dunk Sermon, probably sits in that good spot. Windcracker hasn't gone, around one turn in a while, but didn't run bad, but comes from way out of it. And then the horse on the outside does have some speed, but have we seen that speed really on dirt for Diodoro? So it's really going to be interesting how it plays out early. And the fact that Mojo Man is 2-1, I kind of get it, but then I don't. You see Jockey's Warrior, obviously in his form lines. He's 8 now. He lost to Rolling Fork that day. Rolling Fork was 60-1 in the middle of the racetrack for Kim Poole. That horse has not really come back to run that well. I didn't know where to go here, guys. I'm honestly just confused. I thought the 6, even though there's not a lot of pace in there, was going to run a decent race at 8-1. I just can't take anybody else in here. I was just confused of who was going to get to the front end in here. So I'll take a chance with the 6. I think this horse has got a little bit of potential.
Yeah, 8-1 on the 6 Windcracker. This horse, non-starter last time out. I'm not sure what the issue was. It says detained non-starter. But before that, that was just much tougher spot. So you go back, 81 buyer, pace. 82 buyer.
Yeah. The lack of pace kind of concerns me, but I don't really like the horses, probably the speed, the 2 Big Nick. And the horse that interests me was the 3 Mojo Man, but I wouldn't bet him at 2-1. Listen, I agree with Paulie. In general, I can see that he's a little bit fuddled here. But Windcracker, that's an interesting play. Yeah. He was detained. Were they questioning him?
Maybe just didn't get out of the
badly
gate.
Behaved. Yeah, he probably was a gate issue.
Real quick, too, before we get into the next horse, we're going to look at Gozilla. As you said, did go off the favorite of that Hopeful. But Basin, his stablemate, won it that year for Asmussen.
I remembered Ms. Eloise nailing Northsider 36 years ago, but I couldn't remember the Hopeful from 4 years ago, and I bet the winner.
Let's take a look at Slam Dunk Sermon. So it was with Asmussen last time out. This horse has been very popular in the claim box. Faced Lake Radio back on January 14th and just missed by a neck.
Yeah. Listen, obviously he's run 2 good figures, and he makes a lot of sense. He could win. He's been 9-1 and 8-1 though, and now off the claim for a lesser barn, and not trying to beat up on the connections, but they're not going to have the success that Robertino Diodoro's been having at Oaklawn.
Asmussen had him. Diodoro had him. They couldn't win with him. Well, I shouldn't say that. Diodoro did win with him. Asmussen just missed with him last time. He's in sharp form. We'll see
he
if
can win. I'm not. I feel like Paulie does about this race. I think it's wide open.
5-2 on the 5 right now. Let's welcome in for the first time today, Jonathan Kinchin.
Hi, Wolfie. It's good to see you or hear from you. Look, I think Gozilla is interesting, and I remember, and before he ran at Saratoga, he was like the next fastest horse in the world, and he showed up and he ran extremely well that day, and I think I even bet him that day in the Hopeful when he didn't run so well. I think there's talent there with this horse, but he clearly has issues. There's clearly something that's stopping him from being what he was meant to be. Mark Casse tried with him a few times, couldn't see it. Steve Asmussen seems to maybe have kind of given up a little bit. If it's not given up, maybe they decided to sell the horse, whatever it was. Drexler had the horse and actually got a couple wins out of him. Now you're going to a high percentage first off the claim trainer, a trainer that can get horses kind of going in the right direction, and for a stable and Flying P stable who also does well in the claiming ranks of taking horses. They took this horse for 25. They're running at a similar level. I just feel like the outside draw and the price that is being offered up on Gozilla right now makes a little sense. They make a little change, putting the blinkers on. This isn't the most talented group in the world. I mean, if I was going to tell you I like someone other than Gozilla, it's likely the favorite in Mojo Man, was the favorite in Mojo Man. That's not very exciting. I do not like the 5 Slam Dunk Sermon, who is now the favorite. What the heck? Give me the 7 Gozilla to live up to that grade 1 hype of 4 summers ago.
Jonathan, you become our resident Allen Iverson. Where were you during the meeting today?
I was there. I came in late. I texted Bobby, and plus it's just practice.
Wow.
Practice.
I knew that was coming. My bad. I didn't realize he joined us late.
You called him about 10 minutes ago.
By the way,
Nobody
JK,
was there, but
did you? So I remember that Hopeful, and everyone in the world seemed to know that it was Basin who was the best of those 3 Asmussens. Did you get that info?
That was info? I think he's gone.
Look, I thought I had heard about Gozilla. I did not hear about Basin. I had heard Gozilla. I actually did hear from a prominent trainer prior to the race. I didn't believe him. A prominent trainer said to me, "Do you think they would have sold a leg?" Because they did. They sold a quarter of the horse leading up to that race. Do you think they would have sold a quarter of the horse if the horse was supposed to be what we all thought? And I was like, I don't know, whatever. The horse is the fastest horse on the grounds. It's a 2-year-old, but I was proven incorrect.
Funny the things you hear at the racetrack.
Most of them are completely useless,
Yes,
and you're
they
better
are.
off if you never heard any of them.
So tough one here to try and sort through. It's the 5 who has become the 2-1 favorite in here, Slam Dunk Sermon.
He'll probably win because I agree with Jonathan. I think he's a bad play. I thought Paulie had a nice idea with a 6. I think he's not impossible, and I do like the 3 in here. I would pick the 3 Mojo Man, but I'm not going to bet at 5-2.
Yeah, I like what Paulie had to say with a 6, whose price has come down. You got to Slam Dunk Sermon, though. Look at the recent form, obviously sharp for 2 of the best barns in the game. Likes to win, though, too. He's 11 for 29 overall.
Oh, I'm not going to be shocked when he wins, but, I'm not going to be shocked if he wins. He's just not my kind of horse in here.
Loading up. Totalizer the 1 stepping in. Big Nick at 13-1. Might be controlling up front.
Looks like the speed is just a very hard horse to like, at least to me. And the
Just
public
missed
agrees.
again. That was in the mud, though, against Slam Dunk Sermon back
Much
in
lower
December.
Company. Oh, yeah. No, that's fair.
Jim Byers the call. 4th from Oaklawn. First live action of the day for us. Good luck.
They're in the gate. And they're off. Good start for Big Nick. Big Nick on the inside and Lake Radio. Lake Radio and Big Nick, their heads apart. Gozilla moving to prominence from the outside with the white blinkers, and he's going to put pressure on the lead. Then comes Slam Dunk Sermon. He's racing in fourth. Windcracker is outside of him in fifth. Length and a half then to Totalizer, and Mojo Man is trailing the field as they race past the half-mile marker. Toward the inside, it's Big Nick. Up to the outside, Gozilla. Those two are heads apart here. And Gozilla with a head in front. Then Big Nick, 2.5. And it's Slam Dunk Sermon who's racing in third. Slam Dunk Sermon is racing in between runners as they come to the head of the stretch. Then it's Lake Radio, who's a path off the rail. Windcracker is on the extreme outside as they come for home. Then Mojo Man and Totalizer, they're in the stretch. Gozilla has the lead, but Slam Dunk Sermon is out after him. Gozilla with the lead by 2. Slam Dunk Sermon trying hard. Lake Radio is next in third. As they come to the finish, Gozilla, there's no stopping him, and he's going to win it off clear by some 3 lengths over Slam Dunk Sermon and Lake Radio. It was wide open for fourth.
2019 hopeful favorite, Gozilla, wins for the 4th time in his career. This time, Robertino Diodoro off the claim.
4 years late, but he gets it done, and a good claim. Another one for Diodoro, who continues to win races and by the boatload.
We get back to New York. 5th race, start of the pick 4, 40,000 non-winners of 2 conditions, 6 furlong sprint. And here's Necromancer. This post parade happened a few moments ago.
Being on the rail is going to help his chances. I picked him second and think he's a very live long shot.
It's a tough race. Buckingham Prince for Chris Engelhardt, second off the claim.
If you like him, he's a second off the layoff horse, which perhaps he can improve off his last.
Mauritius, the 3, he was second, a distant second to Taba with a big figure in his debut.
Which one of the Morley horses will be the speed? Because both Mauritius and Built to Last have speed.
This horse had some trouble last time out and steps up.
Yeah, he's a better turf horse. But
8-1. Jester's Song's going to make his 4-year-old debut for the Bond Barn.
I like him here, dropping in for a tag for the first time. I'm not thrilled with a horse that probably isn't going to see the rail, and I worry about the bias, but I like him on handicapping.
Built to Last, the other Morley runner who wants to be forward.
Maybe he's the one that'll clear the 2 runners. That would give him a good chance.
I thought this horse had a little bit of intrigue. Got a decent figure in the debut and then didn't show up next start.
Well, I hope you're betting him at 37-1.
Favorite upper level outside, 2-1 favorite.
He's definitely a dangerous horse, but he's got a bad post on the outside to be taking a short price on today's racetrack.
Pick 4 starts here. Let's bring in Maggie Wolfendale.
And it feels like they don't know who to bet here in this 5th race, as we'll take a look, though, at the one that was taking most of the early money, and that's number 2 in here, Buckingham Prince, who came off the 6-month layoff last time, took money that day, but really didn't show up. And honestly, I thought as though he looked fit enough considering the layoff coming back, and he disappointed. He acted up badly in the gate, so get a good read on him as to how he's acting as they approach the gate. But as far as the preliminaries thus far, he's been acting very well. So I honestly don't get him. He was a big disappointment. As we move on to Mauritius, I honestly don't know much about this horse for my husband. I have been focusing on my off-track thoroughbred and my children. Haven't spent much time in the barn as of late. Does come back as a gelding, which I think is a good call because last time in the paddock was really tough to saddle. Gave them some trouble here today, but once they got it on, settled nicely, and Trevor gave him a big warm-up. It looked as though he wanted to lug in his last race, and kind of Kendrick was spending most of the race kind of fighting with him to keep him from doing so. And I don't know necessarily that he's as fast as Built to Last. I think Built to Last has proven that he's a faster horse, but he's certainly on it. Does look good, though, from the overall perspective, and hoping that gelding helps him, but no corrective bit on, just a regular D bit for him. I'm going to take a chance here with Volkert. As Greg said, had trouble. I think, kind of from start to finish. It may have been mild trouble in that he broke well, shuffled back, tried to come on again on the inside, shut off, and then once he switched out, finally the race was kind of over at that point behind Bragiol. But I think he looks great here. He looks solid. He looks healthy. And Mark Hennig's runners as a whole, they have been showing up to the paddock looking good, and I think we've seen them running very well on the track too. Number 5, Jester Song. Look, he's the class dropper in here. He is facing the weakest field that he has, arguably in his entire career. He looks fine as he comes off a bit of a freshening. He looks very fit. I thought he could look a bit better from the overall perspective, but still at 4-1, he's a generous price, Greg.
Yeah, Jester's Song. Thank you, Maggie. We're going to look at real quickly here if we have time. 4-year-old debut coming up. Faced monsters last time out. And this, I believe, we're going back to his win, Belmont and Aqueduct.
Well, he's interested in first time for the tag drop downs, and they're really running him in a realistic spot coming off about a 3-month freshening. Thought he made a lot of sense off the maiden wins. I worry a little bit about the way the racetrack is playing. The 4-1 says he's a little chilly on the board, though I was never sure he'd be as short as 5-2. It's a very, very tricky race. The racetrack may not be in his favor, but I thought he was just a very logical horse in here. I used 1s and 5s.
12-1 on Necromancer stepping in. I would not want to take a short price in this race.
No, that's why Necromancer kind of interests me, right?
Buckingham Prince, second off the return. Chris Engelhardt, second off the claim as well. Mauritius, he was third to Taba, who is maybe, certainly one of your top older horses in the country this year. That was in his debut.
But yeah, no, yeah. I mean, it'll be interesting because both the 3 and 6 are Tom Morley horses, and both have speed. But do we really think that these two horses from the same barn are going to be dueling each other in submission? That's really the question in this race, a little bit at least.
Chris Griffin, the call, start of the pick 4 from Aqueduct.
All set. And they're off. Speed towards the outside here from Built to Last, right out to the front, has pressure to the inside from Buckingham Prince, and they're head and head as they work up the backstretch. Just off of them is Jester Song, who shares third with Upper Level, who is progressing for Torres out in the center of the racetrack. That's the leading 4. Driven along towards the back end of the field is Volkert, who's there with the trailers. At the rail there is Necromancer, is in the mix with It's a Little Bit Funny. It's towards the back end of the field there. Jester Song is in that mix as well as they work into that far turn with Mauritius. On the front end and to the inside, it's Buckingham Prince. Built to Last is in between horses, right to the outside. Here comes the run from Upper Level. These 3 across the racetrack, Jester Song and Jose Lescano. They get a nice trip from 4th. Where will they go? They've got a decision to make here as they approach a quarter mile left to go. They went 22 and 4 for that pressured opening quarter mile. In behind those rivals, here comes the room for Jester Song. Necromancer is on the grandstand side, is building some momentum as well. It's Necromancer who beats Jester Song to the punch. Built to Last is still in the hunt as well. Necromancer has taken the lead. Built to Last is fighting onto the inside for Manny Franco. Can he do it again? Necromancer is up by a neck, now a half length. It's Necromancer drifting out, but Necromancer. Dylan Davis, they get the score over Built to Last. Then came Buckingham Prince and Jester Song in 1 minute 12.90 seconds.
11-1 from a 5-1 morning line. Necromancer successful in his 4-year-old return.
Yeah, and he was able to swoop the field. And nice return, a horse we talked about before the race. And Dylan Davis gave a horse a nice ride. I thought that my horse, Jester Song, got a great ride from Jose Lescano, who never wanted to leave the rail. He tipped off when he wanted to. He just had absolutely no horse, but not Lescano's fault. But it was Dylan Davis swooping the field with Necromancer, a horse we talked about as one of the interesting players in here. And the 6 Built to Last ran very well when you consider, he was dueling and he wasn't on the inside. But the 1 gets the job done at a very generous price.
Second biggest price on the board at 11-1 with an upset to start the pick 4. Necromancer Bruce Levine trains. Dylan Davis rides. Levine owns part of this horse too. More than ready 4-year-old, now 2 for 13 lifetime.
Yeah, he got it done. He probably benefited quite a bit from the trip, and maybe the 6 did run the better race, but sometimes you get the better trip. And as we talked about, 11-1 seemed like a generous price. I was talking with David Aragon, the morning line maker, about the line, and it's just maybe a situation where there's so many horses in the race, a horse will get lost.
He should not have been 11-1.
No, I should. Listen, we talked about it before the race. I said to you, I'm using the 1 and 5, so it's not like I'm surprised he won. But horses get lost. The 6 was 2-1. The 5's taking some money. The 8 was getting bet.
He beat the 8 before, by the way, Upper Level. 1-6-2-5. Nice call. Prices for you when we come back. Derby Trail, we'll talk about it. It's coming up Saturday at Tampa Bay Downs. Todd Pletcher, a race he's won 5 times before. He'll try and do it again. He's got 2 going. Tapit Trice, the big story. in the Tampa Bay Derby in his first test in stakes competition.
And obligatory goes by the ball. And wins it. Here comes Malatha. Here comes Clariere on the outside. And it's got to be Clariere. Nest, much the best. She won by better than 10 lengths. And Elite Power gets up to win the sprint. Outside it's Malatha coming to the wire. Who's it going to be? Here's the wire. Oh, the wish has come true. That one's for you, Cody.
The Kentucky Derby Bankroll Builder is back at Naira Bets. Bet a $50 win bet on a selected Derby prep and get $20 for your Derby Bankroll, win or lose. Opt in each week to play at NairaBets.com.
It's a domineering display by the ultra-talented McKenzie. McKenzie Preservationist, Vino Rosso and Yoshida. McKenzie's in front. McKenzie, they've done it. McKenzie has it by 2. It's McKenzie in a dominant performance. Pure class in the Malibu.
This season at Oaklawn, we've got more of everything. More of the top thoroughbreds in the world. More days of live racing. And the largest purses in our history. All at a completely reimagined Oaklawn. Come be a part of this historic season at Arkansas's only casino resort.
This Saturday, Kentucky Derby points are on the line at Tampa Bay Downs. Tune into America's Day at the Races for live coverage featuring Lafitte Pinkai and Acacia Clement on site for the Grade 3 Tampa Bay Derby. Catch all the action from 3 to 6:30 Eastern on FS2. Back with you on America's Day at the Races. Greg Wolf, Andy Serling, Jonathan Kinchin, Paula Duca, Maggie Wolfendale. Look at Tampa Bay Saturday Stakes schedule. They are loaded with a terrific program. We're going to have live coverage for you, including that Grade 3 Tampa Bay Derby and Tapit Trice, which we'll talk about coming up in just a little bit, but tremendous undercard too.
I agree. He looks pretty good, Tapit Trice. I thought he'd be pretty tough to beat.
Back in New York, 11-1 on Necromancer here in his 4-year-old return.
Saved ground, angled out, got the pace to run at, and got the job done. I'm still going to say that a tough luck loser was second place finisher built to last. He ran too well to lose this race. Dueled with the 2 inside, and I bet the 1, so there's no sour grapes here. But he really did all the dirty work. Just with the 2 going there. You know, it's funny, without his entry mate going, you thought he might have cleared, but Buckingham Prince was ready off the layoff, and Eric was right to go. He had the inside, he had some speed, but it probably did in the second place finisher who might have been best.
1-6-2. Necromancer, $25 horse in this pick 5 and pick 4.
And we're talking about how he's a big price. I think he's a bigger price than Exactas and doubles. Exacta double paid like $140 with the 2-1 favorite finishing second.
Did it really?
And the 2 favored doubles are $75 and $82 for $1. So they're paying like he was even a bigger price.
Back at Oaklawn, Gozilla back in the winner's circle, getting his picture taken. Robertino Diodoro says he can't claim and win sprinting. It's not been his forte at this meet, but he does it here with Gozilla.
No, he's better with routers. His numbers aren't better, but he got him home, and he found that old form that Jonathan liked for the hopeful.
It was in there. It was just about 4 years ago, but he found
to get out. I just think it's amazing how much time, and I'm sure Jonathan would agree, even though he won some races, this horse spent on synthetic. He's a better dirt horse. This horse you want to be running on dirt.
880 for the victory. Gozilla, I just always loved his name from the moment he debuted at Saratoga.
It's a great name.
Late pick 5 next. We'll set it up when we come back. We're going to look ahead when we return to the weekend as well. Here in New York, the correction. 6 furlongs, fillies, mares 4 and up, and everybody's got to beat this 5-year-old mare, Rosa Veloce, 8-time winner. 3 of those wins coming in her last 4 starts for Rob Atris. We'll be back.
Aqueduct is the only racetrack within the confines of the 5 boroughs of New York City and faced intense competition from several other tracks located in the vicinity. True to its nature, the racetrack not only survived, but thrived. Aqueduct underwent an extensive 3-year overhaul and reopened on September 15, 1959, to much fanfare, as it was one of the most modern facilities of its kind. In 1960, Aqueduct presented its first Wood Memorial. The race is New York's premier prep race for the Triple Crown and remains one of the track's signature events, along with the Cigar Mile Handicap and Remsen Stakes. Aqueduct was the first and only track to have a triple dead heat win in a stakes race when Brownie, Bousset, and Wait a Bit hit the wire in tandem. In 1965, it was the site of the largest crowd ever to witness a thoroughbred race at that time in the Empire State, when more than 73,000 packed the stands to see Gunbow in the Metropolitan Mile. The legendary Cigar began his famous 16-race win streak at Aqueduct. He scored impressively in the 1994 Nauru Mile as part of that win streak. The race was named in Cigar's honor after he retired in 1997. The last racetrack Secretariat placed his hooves upon was Aqueduct. He was retired there before commencing his stud career at Claiborne Farm. Aqueduct was the second track to host the Breeders' Cup in 1985 and was one of the first sporting venues where Pope John Paul II held Mass in 1995.
A lot of history here within these walls. New York City's racetrack, and we always love coming here.
Love the Big A. You're like, you are a great transformed New Yorker. You take the subway with me. It's great.
A-train regular.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, no, it's the greatest way to get the track. Aqueduct was the first track outside of Saratoga, New York, that I came to when I came to my grandmother in 1974. Sophie loved the Big A. We used to take the old Aqueduct Special out.
That's what it was called?
Yeah, that was the Aqueduct Special. They had these big tokens back then. They were different tokens.
I would have liked that. They should bring it
great.
back. Correction, the feature on Saturday here, as part of this cross-country Pick 5, I believe, as well. Rosa Veloce looks like she is going to be incredibly tough to deny here.
Yeah, I'm thinking she's going to be 6-5, the same way that that horse in the Tappa Trice is going to be 8-5. Now, I think that is going to be 3 or 4-5. I don't know that she'll be that short, but she might be. I mean, Greg, she's the best horse. She's got inside speed. There isn't anybody in here that has the same kind of speed she does. I mean, if you're betting against her, in my opinion, you're literally hoping she just doesn't show up, and that's not the way I handicap. Do you disagree?
Little intrigue with the shipper from Maryland.
A little bit. I picked her second.
Prodigy doll we're talking about?
I mean, I think Easy to Bless is not impossible if you want a local horse. She ran very well in the context of the race, but she'd have to run much better to win this race, and she can't keep having problems at the gate. But I agree. I like the fact that Prodigy Doll is a bit of a new face. I wish I could have made a little bit more of an excuse for her effort in the Barbara Fritchie.
5-year-old mare. She just become a different type of runner the past 4 or 5 starts with Rob Atras. Hands down, Rosa Veloce is the one to beat in that correction. So, inside post, see if she can handle it.
It's in the cross-country Big 5, 3 races down in Florida. Oaklawn. I'm excited for
Price
tomorrow.
maybe a single. Rosa Veloce maybe a single.
We were talking about it a little yesterday. It was one favorite after another last year, and it still paid like 3 times the parlay. So don't just run away if you really feel these things. Some of these Pick 5s, people play them trying to beat favorites, and it can blow up the sequence if short prices win it. And that was the case last year on exactly this date.
Pick 5 time from Oaklawn. Here we go. State bred 40 maiden claiming race. They're all up for sale. Mile on the 16th, and not much form to go off of. Let's go to Paul for more.
Yeah, not a lot of form to go off on here. And when you're looking at this race, I think a lot of people are just gravitating towards the connections in here. And the 5, I kind of get it in here for Ron Moquett. His horse is dropping from the maiden special weight down to 40. But, you know, this horse broke out of the gate and did not show any speed at all and just sort of ran around there and sort of packed it in. And it was actually quick up front. So 2-1, I'm not buying that. I do get the 8 a little bit. Lake Hamilton, you know, Midnight Loot out of a Meadow Lake mare, cleverly named here, running here at Lake Hamilton, about 4 miles away from the racetrack. And this horse did show speed first time out after being left and tried to get to the front end last time and couldn't. So maybe this is the horse that leads him around. The tricky part about this race, out of the 9 runners in here, 1 horse is gone long, and that has been the 10 Storm strategy. Now, at 4-1, do you want to take that, you know, with that experience, now claim for 16, jumping for 40? I will say this, if you like the 7 a little bit, he's been getting a little washy, and I don't know if that's his regular routine, but he's been a little bit washy and getting a little stirred up. The 3 you cannot miss. I mean, a big old white bunny rabbit, and, you know, I felt that this horse can improve. I know Johnny Ortiz is having a little tough of a meet, but maybe on the stretch out, this is one of the other horses in here. And then the 6, I thought at 16-1, has the pedigree to go long. And, you know, listen, you don't want to be off since December, but it's just hard for me to take 3-1 on the Moquett horse. I love Ronnie. I just watching that last replay. He might be better than this group, but he did not do much running. So I'm searching for prices in here, guys. So Seeking Chrome for me at 16-1. I'm going outside the box.
Paulie, I really like the 10 Storm strategy. I thought this horse ran extremely well last time and was claimed out of the race. I know it was a muddy track, but I thought you look at the trips on him that he was clearly best in that race last time out. And I don't love the post, but I thought he was really, really the horse to beat here.
No, and he's got a giant advantage. I'm totally using him. He's a must-use in this pick 5 because he has the experience at a mile of 16th. Now you have, you know, 8 other runners. Probably 1 out of 8 of them, let's just guess, is going to take to the distance. But we already know that he has. And you're right, he didn't have a great trip. He does draw the outside. And they're with 8 horses that are going long for the first time. There does look like there's some speed. So like you said, Andy, like I'm going with the 6 here just as a price that I'm using in my pick 5. But I thought the 10 was a must-use in here.
Thanks.
All right. Storm strategy at least has gone long, too. It's gone a mile and a 16th. Back to New York. And the 6th coming up. And as we take a look here at the even money favorite, Dame Cinco. Short price, Rob Atras, Manny Franco team up. Manny's had a hot hand today. Let's go downstairs to Maggie.
Yeah, he's looking for his 5th win on this card, second in the last. Rob looking for his 2nd win on this card as well. But Dame Cinco, she'll be turning back a bit in distance, and I'm not opposed to that. I'm not excited, but she has won going the 6 furlongs before, and really, this is a field where there are only 2 horses that look, at least physically, like they're going to run well. Not to say that some of them others won't, but Dame Cinco is one of those. Great coat, really well turned out, just the best looking filly or mare in this field by far. By really far. The next best is number 6, though, Alpine Queen, who's coming off of a win in a starter allowance, and it seems as though the Toscanos have kind of figured her out a little bit. She looks better than when I had last been in the paddock for her, which was back in October. Just her weight's better, her coat's better, she's moving a bit better as well, and I think she is okay at the 6 furlong distance. I know the majority of her career she has spent it going longer, but I think she's okay with the sprint distances. So, Greg, I'm having a lot of trouble seeing past Dame Cinco, though.
Short price, you and I saw it a little differently.
I love the one in this race.
I thought there were a few ways to go in here. Royal Megan's certainly one of them.
Yeah, Royal Megan was 4 wide against the gold rail last time out, and that's the reason she looks on paper like she didn't run well. She was significantly against the track, met much better, including Rosa Veloce 2 races back. I think she runs back to that race 3 back. She'll beat this field.
Let's take a look though at the big favorite right now. This was back on January 28th. 2 starts back, second beat a length behind My Sweet Wife.
She's in good form. She's a very logical horse. She's a horrible gamble, in my opinion, even money. But I think she's a very dangerous player in this race. And listen, you can look at the drop to 32,000 a couple of ways. You can say, well, she's been in good form. Why are they giving up on her? Or you could say, it's the middle of March. The racing's only going to get tougher. They claimed her for $32,000. They've made about over 50,000 since the claim. So if she gets claimed here, they get their money back and wins a run second, they walk away with a pretty handsome profit, and they're playing the claiming game at a time when the racing rates to start getting tougher. So I don't think it's a negative drop. I just don't think she's necessarily as likely to win this race as Royal Megan.
Left-hand side of your screen, right-hand side of your screen, that late pick 5 coming up at Oaklawn. 5-2 favoritism. The second-time starter for Ron Moquette, who drops down from a State-Bred Maiden Special to the State-Bred Maiden 40. JK, how are you going to start things off in this pick 5?
Man, I mean, when I looked at this race, I kept looking for who's going to find the front because I kept seeing a lot of closers, and they're basically like kind of all closers, which is making it very, very tough. I think in those situations when you do have a bunch of closers in a race and there's no one that's going to be able to take advantage of the fact that it's a paceless race, in that situation you just defer to the best horse, the horse that can run the fastest final number, and the horse that you think is the most talented. And unfortunately, in a race that I was very excited about being wide open, it's not. I think it's the 5 Bolivar, and it's because there's no one else in here who has a style to take advantage of the fact that this short price favorite has no early speed. So they're all in the same boat. So when they start to kick for home, the 5 is just better than these horses. I think the 2-1, after looking at the entire race and digesting all of the pace scenarios, I think the 5 is actually a super fair price at 2-1. And if it stays 2-1, I would take a big chunk out of that in the win pool. I love that price on this horse versus this group.
So JK agrees with the public, 2-1 favoritism. Paulie mentioned the 8. I love to see those 2 sprints and then stretch out and get that more of a foundation before you go long.
I like the other horse Paulie was mentioning, the price, the 6 Seeking Chrome. I thought he was a little bit interesting as a second-time starter. But listen, I'm not going to knock anybody in here. I like the 10 Storm strategy. I don't love the post, but I think he's a very fight price at 7-2. Different opinions on the races, what makes the racing world go round.
Loading up. Here we go. Pick 5 begins right here. That feature, we talked about it earlier. I was not able to narrow down. I thought Miss Carroll County was interesting. The 3 pattern bet, the 7 in addition to one way or another.
I just want every time you say it, I want to sing. I hear the song in my head. Every time you say the name.
Here we go. Let's go to Jim Byers for the call to kick off the late pick 5 from Oaklawn.
Competing for $3.1 million in prize money. The National Horse Players Championship in Las Vegas, 24th edition, put on by the NTRA. This is a mandatory race, so good luck. They're in the gate. And they're off. Right on the inside, All in Good Time with a smooth start. Outlaw Run, and there goes Bolivar. And also Jim Ned is prominent. Bolivar is gaining on the outside of All in Good Time. All in Good Time's going to show the way. Then Bolivar, Jim Ned, Outlaw Run on the outside is 3 wide and 4th. And then just 1 length to Lake Hamilton. He's starting to tuck in 5th. Followed a length farther back by Seeking Chrome. He's 6th, and Storm Strategy is outside of him in 7th. Only about 6 lengths from the lead. Then comes the bright gray Black Apple. Singing Groom is trailing the field as they advance up the backstretch. Kylie Jordan and All in Good Time leading the way here. This long shot by 3 parts of a length to Bolivar. Outlaw Run with a wide path after going wide around the clubhouse turn. Jim Ned is 4th, tucked right in on the inside. And Lake Hamilton is alongside him in 5th with a half mile to go. Storm Strategy is within reach if good enough. He's 6th, while 3 wide on the outside, 2.5 to Black Apple, then Seeking Chrome and Singing Groom. 3 furlongs to the finish, and now crowded up front. Bolivar is making his bid. Bolivar to the lead by a neck. Then Outlaw Run. All in Good Time drops back. Storm Strategy is lurking, and farther out, Black Apple is making an imposing bid and swinging up 4 wide. Jim Ned in behind him. They straighten away, and Black Apple is coming on resolutely with Storm Strategy. Bolivar is not keeping up with them. Then Jim Ned on the inside. It's Black Apple, Ricardo Santana Jr. leading it in the final 16th. Storm Strategy is a clear 2nd, and Black Apple steps clear late. Storm Strategy 2nd, Jim Ned was 3rd, and Bolivar 4th.
Ricardo Santana Jr. for John Ortiz Shortleaf Stable. Leading owners all time in the history of this track. Black Apple in the 5th.
Unless you felt this horse was going to improve with distance, it was an extraordinarily hard horse to like. A 6-1. I don't really know their betting off of, but I guess it's that kind of field for a trainer who doesn't have much success stretching out. Now, he may have won anyway, but I'm guessing when they get back to the winner's circle, Steve Asmussen might tell his son, not sure why you were so confident, because he rode the 10 like he just thought, I can't lose. While the 3's in a full-out drive from Ricardo Santana, he's just sitting on him waiting, and the 3 got a full head of steam. Now, it probably didn't matter, but there's no question.
Back in New York, Royal Megan went by. Here's Chloe Rose.
Yeah, I think the Royal Megan's going to win this race. Chloe Rose probably overmatched.
Shasta Star down to 9-2. Trevor McCarthy, long layoff.
Feels like a prep for a turf race.
Tough to endorse Triple P.
Yes, 31 looks like an underlay.
Even money still. Dame Cinco cut back in distance.
I don't think she's an even money shot. I think she has a similar chance to win to the rail horse, but I can understand why people like her.
And this one gets a look as well. Alpine Queen ran a big number last
She does, but you missed the boat at almost 20-1 last time, and now a fraction in a tougher spot.
9-2 right now. Jaime Torres, John Toscano Jr. teaming up. So there's Royal Megan. See what Maggie thinks warming up.
Not a big fan. I wasn't sure about her in the paddock, and I kind of wanted to reserve judgment until she got out on the track. And look, Kendrick Carmouche is a guy who, take him away from the pony, let's go. He just jogged her away daintily. And he's just given her every opportunity to get warmed up. But for me, I would have liked to see her jump into the bridle a bit more. I get it. She can win. I get why on form she can win. I just don't like what I'm seeing from her physically on the racetrack today. As number 3, Shasta Star, she'll try to make a comeback here as a 8-year-old. We haven't seen her since May, but before that, she had won 3 of her last 4 starts. I kind of like her as an individual, but I just think she's going to need a race to get everything going again. She warmed up fine, but just looks a little bit on the heavier, softer side, but still healthy enough. So we'll see what she does here, getting back to the races today. She does come off the layoff off of that voided claim, but watching these warm-ups, it just solidified the fact that Dame Cinco, for me, is much the horse to beat, Greg.
All right, Maggie, thank you. Even money, public agrees.
Well, if Maggie's right and she doesn't like the way the 1's looking, the 5's probably going to win the race. And I respect Maggie's opinion. Fortunately for me, I'm alive in the double with the 1. Double's paying $82 for $1. So I don't have to lose any more money on her, and I can hope she runs well.
Going to take a look at her.
Well, I was originally showing this race because the horse that finished second is scratched from here, and that's the number 7, Montbassi Shoe.
I liked her today.
See, I didn't like her at all. She was on a gold rail in this race, and I thought it was an interesting juxtaposition. I will never know who was right because she scratched, but I thought she rode a gold rail and enhanced her position where Royal Megan was out in the middle of the racetrack, and that made it very, very difficult for her to be competitive. I mean, she's way out the track at this point. I think on a fair track that she'd be tough. Now, it is a track that's probably a little favoring the speed, the inside, but she does draw the rail, and so we'll see if Kendra can take advantage of that. And here, it is a race with a bit of a murky pace, but she doesn't look like a speed.
Kendra Carmouche on board Royal Megan, second choice, 2-1 odds on now for the first time here. Dame Cinco, heavy favorite. There's Shasta Star, and an 8-year-old mare. She's coming off a long layoff. We haven't seen her since May 12th. Consistently running solid numbers, but not numbers that Royal Megan and Dame Cinco are capable of. And what makes you think off a layoff as an 8-year-old she's going to be able to find that kind of race?
Well, the other problem is that Bob Caceres did the right thing. He claimed her and realized they're running her on the wrong surface. She's a better turf sprinter. So he runs her in a turf sprint on May 12th, and he's right, and she wins. Then she's laid up until now. He didn't do it because he thought she needed a long rest. He missed an awful lot of races she would have been competitive in. He probably brings her back for $32,000 of the time because he doesn't want to lose her. And he's thinking turf racing starts in a month, so if I get her back, I want to run on the turf again, and I don't want to lose her. So I'm wondering if she's just more of a prep for the turf. Not that she's terrible.
You don't think someone would see that turf race from her and say, maybe I'll take her? And
well, they may think 3/4 of a year, and she's been off and got avoided claim before that.
Let's go to Jonathan.
I'm going to go with the 1, Royal Megan, down on the inside. This horse was extremely wide last time, has a little bit of tactical speed, and the way that her pace figures line up, it feels like she's really going to appreciate this cut back to the 6 furlongs. I'll go to the rail, which I don't like to do very often, with Royal Megan.
2-1. JK, Andy,
Me and Jonathan. I don't know. I'm gonna think that Maggie's going to end up being right, but I like the 1 too. So. But I'm married to her anyway, and I got her the double.
Here we go. Late pick 3 begins in this one. All the money on the 5 here. Dame Cinco cut back in distance for Rob Atras. Manny Franco looking to continue his big afternoon. Let's go to Chris Griffin for the call.
Line Queen. All in line. All set. And they're off. Dame Cinco flashes early speed, so does Chloe Rose down towards the inside, and Alpine Queen up on the far outside, 3 across the racetrack. In behind them will be Shasta Star. At the rail, second to last is Royal Megan, and the early trailer is Triple P. They move up the backstretch, and down towards the inside, it's Chloe Rose who's in front. In between horses, at even money is Dame Cinco, and a 3-wide move is Alpine Queen, and Alpine Queen's on the move. Less than 4 furlongs to go. They went 23 seconds flat, and Alpine Queen is getting away. It's Alpine Queen who's now up by 2 lengths. Dame Cinco is in hot pursuit here from second. Losing ground at the rail, that's Chloe Rose. Up on the far outside, it's Triple P in the purple silks. Losing some ground with Shasta Star. And from the back, it's Royal Megan. They're approaching a 1/4 mile left to go. Alpine Queen is still in front. It's Alpine Queen, 46-4 for a half-mile time. Dame Cinco with every chance is getting closer here as they're approaching an 1/8 of a mile to go. It is Alpine Queen still fending her off, but Dame Cinco is up on the grandstand side and moving in closer. Alpine Queen is very game to the inside. Dame Cinco is trying one final push here down to the line. It's Alpine Queen, Dame Cinco, Alpine Queen, Dame Cinco, photo finish. Noses on the wire there, Alpine Queen and Dame Cinco. Then came Royal Megan. It's a photo in 1 minute 13.32 seconds.
Did Alpine Queen hang on at 6-1, or did the even money favorite come and get her? One more look.
Oh man, if you bet Dame Cinco, you should feel a little guilty collecting. I mean, she did beat the racetrack a little bit, but man, if you bet on the second horse in this race, Alpine Queen, and we think she got nipped to the wire, you have every right to want to vomit. I mean, this is a brutal beat. Wow.
Do you have a towel?
You talk about boy, I'd be crying elephant tears if I bet the 6 here. Maggie was right about the 1 as well.
Nose back in front.
She got the 6 just on.
It's the 5 posted. Dame Cinco brutal beat Alpine Queen, ran a big effort in defeat.
Is that 5 for Manny? Did you say to me, Greg?
5 wins. He won the first 4 on the card today to start this Friday afternoon. Now adds number 5. Unreal.
What a bum. How did he lose the 5th? He ran second in the 5th. Well, he might have run the best horse in the 5th, but he also just got lucky here. 5 wins for Manny. Who's he got the rest of the day, Greg? Let's see. He has, Bobby Bow. And, he scratched the last, so he can only win 6. He's like such a failure.
Even money here. It took every inch to get up in time. Whew. 5, 6, 1, 3. Prices for you when we come back.
I just feel bad for anybody bet the second horse in this race, and I'm not one of them.
Oh, we're going to take a timeout. We'll be back. Todd Pletcher looking for number 6 in the Tampa Bay Derby. He'll have the huge favorite, Tapit Trice, set to make his graded stakes debut and perhaps become one of the leaders on the road to the Derby.
Every hair, every muscle, every contour, every pulse. In the juvenile.
Essential quality has won.
In the Belmont.
Essential quality has won the Belmont Stakes.
Well named.
Would you believe that champions weren't measured by rings, but by a crown? That the history books were written on dirt? That the greatest of all time was a horse?
He is moving like a tremendous machine.
Experience the magic at this year's Belmont Stakes as we honor the 50th anniversary of Secretariat's legendary Triple Crown triumph. Join the celebration at Belmont Park on Saturday, June 10th. Tickets on sale now at BelmontStakes.com.
Gunrunner is the sire of 6 Grade 1 winners from his first crop. He leads all stallions standing in North America by percentage of Grade 1 winners, percentage of Grade 1 stakes horses, percentage of stakes horses, and percentage of stakes winners. Owner Breeder Magazine wrote, 3 Chimneys is home to one of the most exciting young stallions in North America, one that is already eliciting comparisons with Danzig and Mr. Prospector. Gunrunner.
Racetrack Television Network brings you every race, from every track, on every screen, every day. With monthly packages starting as low as $5, RTN gives you great value and access to more live HD streaming and race replays than anyone. Visit RTN.tv today to sign up and watch on almost any device, including Roku and Amazon Fire. RTN has packages that start at $5 per month.
Back with you on America's Day at the Races. Coverage brought to you in part by America's Best Racing. For the love of the race, visit americasbestracing.net today. Tough beat if you liked Alpine Queen, who tried and came just short against Dame Cinco at the was in front inches before that wire. In the end, big day for Manny Franco continues. Number 4 for him on the afternoon. Let's go to Maggie.
Actually, number 5, Greg. The only one he lost on? My husband's horse. What's up, man?
Sorry, man. I tried my best.
It was not your fault. I can't blame you for that one. But what a day you've had, Manny. And really, I think your strength, your just overall physical prowess totally on display with Dame Cinco with that win.
Yeah, I had to work hard to get there, but we got the job done, and that's all that matters.
It's all about whose nose hits the line first, but looking forward to the next race. Bobby Bow, I know that you've been working him for Michelle in the morning, and I know that she kind of left it up to you as to what distance to run him at coming back off that 19-month layoff, and you said run him a mile. Talk a little bit about that response.
Yeah, I mean, I get a chance to work him once, so he gave me that feeling like he's a big horse, nice, long stride, so I say after the work, he galloped out good, and I say, Michelle, let's try to run a mile. I don't even know the horse, and she say, tell me what can we do with him? And I say, go a mile with him and see what happens.
Do you think you get to the lead with him? I mean, I'm excited to see him because I've never seen him. He looks enormous.
The way he's running is near, if not in front, he's second. So I think that's the plan.
All right, man. Well, best of luck, and let's see if you can get your 6th.
Thank you, Maggie. Let's see.
All right, Bobby Bowe coming up in the next race for Manny Franco. Just white hot on this Friday card, Greg.
Coming up on a horse who's got big questions about him off a 19-and-a-half-month layoff. He can do very little wrong today.
Manny's an absolutely terrific rider, but let's give his agent a little credit. The horses he rode were 2-5, around 2-1 or 8-5, 3-5, 9-5, and even money, and 2-1. So when you're riding all the favorites, and I'm not knocking Manny, you know I think Manny's a fabulous rider, but his agent John Pandegot's getting him the right horses as well.
Yes, he is. Big part of it, obviously. So we'll get into his final mount of the afternoon coming up. Bobby Bowe in a moment. We're going to head down the Derby Trail next race that we're going to bring you tomorrow. Live coverage on site from Lafitte and Acacia. We look forward to the Great Prix Tampa Bay Derby, our ABR race of the week at a mile and a 16th. And Tapit Trice, is this going to be his coming out party?
Well, yeah, that's a funny way to put it, and a reasonable question. I mean, some would argue his last race was a coming out party, right? That big win over his actually favored entry mate who's running back in here. And I think the point we were talking about earlier that shows how strong he is in here, the morning line second choice, and I don't think either one of us disagree with it, is the horse he just beat by 8 lengths. So, I mean, he's 8-5 in the line. I honestly believe that he'll be no more than even money and perhaps odds on. I know he lacks speed. He has some gait issues. It's a big field. He looks so much better in this field on paper. I'm not going to, and I've looked at other horses and we watched the Sam Davis. Greg, I'm not making a case against this horse. He loses, then I'll be surprised, to be honest. I mean, if he loses, in my opinion, something went wrong, or he got very unlucky.
Well, as you said, yeah, his stablemate, who he dominated, might be the second best horse in this race. Acacia Clement had a chance to catch up with the Hall of Fame trainer.
Joined by trainer Todd Pletcher with the Tampa Bay Derby coming up. Tapit Trice is a horse that really seems to have found his stride, and I got a chance to see him in the stall. He looks like he's a bit of a character as well.
He's a good feeling colt, but he's been very well behaved on the racetrack and during his races. He's not been real quick away from the gate. That's the one area we've been working on a little bit, but he's got a tremendous stride, great athletic way of going, and certainly feel like the added distance is going to help him.
You mentioned the stride and the way that he covers the ground. You could see that right from the beginning, and it seems like he's really progressing with each race.
He has. He's gotten a little more professional each race, and, you know, I really wanted to get him stretched out around 2 turns last time, but we just didn't have the opportunity, and so looking forward to that in the Tampa Derby.
With the Tampa Bay Derby and kind of being the first time that he'll go into the deep water, so to speak, how do you think that he'll handle this company, and as you said, the trip should help?
We're very confident that he'll handle the step up in class and distance. He's trained super well all along. We have, you know, high hopes for him.
For a horse, too, at this stage of the game, as he's starting to come along and trying to earn some points, talk a little bit about how you work back from maybe going to that Kentucky Derby.
So we're thinking, you know, with him, he's still relatively inexperienced. He's handling his races really well. He's holding his weight great. So we're looking at the Tampa Derby, and if that were to go well, then timing for the Bluegrass would probably be ideal.
Five-time winner of this race, looking for number 6 with Tapit Trice, Shesterkin. Some good names on that list. Tapit, of course, will win the 3rd and final leg of the Triple Crown, 2017 in the Belmont Stakes.
And Limehouse, Destin got beaten nose in the Triple Crown on my birthday, one of the most wonderful birthday moments for me. And Limehouse was for Dogwood Stables, and Dogwood Stables, they were really Cott Campbell and Dogwood, one of the first people to give Todd horses when he went on his own in '96. I'm sure that was kind of a cool win for him as well. And Limehouse was a nice horse.
What a character Cott Campbell was.
Yeah, he was great. He really was.
We'll look forward to it. We're going to have you bring this to you, I should say, tomorrow on Saturday, Road to the Kentucky Derby. It's going to be a lot of fun. You got to watch tomorrow's show. It's going to be fantastic. This race, tremendous undercard, which we'll talk more about in the program. And, of course, that Distaff Showdown from Oaklawn with last year's Oaks winner, Secret Oath and Clariere coming back. Here's the undercard, though, that I was talking about. We'll talk about a few of these. Hillsborough, Florida Oaks. That Challenger starts with a Columbia in race 7.
Yeah, the Challenger, interesting to see some of those horses on the dirt going off, but obviously the big one, the Tampa Bay Derby, the Florida Oaks on the turf. Looking forward to seeing Free Look, who will be the favorite, returning since she ran, I want to say 5th in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Filly Turf.
All right, let's set up the 7th. 3-2, Manny Franco looking for number 6 on the 19.5-month layoff runner Bobby Bow, last time seen. Second to eventual Grade 1 winner American Revolution.
Yeah, I would never bet a horse like this. Now, having said that, he is the clear speed on paper, and we have a track that's very kind to that running style. And if he clears off the rail, it will probably help his chances. But I'm not taking a favorite off a 19-month layoff.
We'll be back right after this. There he is, Bobby Bow, August 27th of 2021. Last time he was on the racetrack.
Catholic Boy, a Grade 1 winner on both dirt and turf, including this romp in the Run Happy Travers Stakes.
He's so impressive today, the others didn't even have a prayer.
This 6-time graded stakes winner was the fastest 3-year-old of his crop over 10 furlongs. At the sales, his first crop yearling sold up to $300,000. Dual Surface Grade 1 winner Catholic Boy, standing at Claiborne Farm.
We're back in America's Day at the Races, and one of the more intriguing races we have had all week long coming up. We'll get to that in a moment at Aqueduct as Manny Franco looks for number 6 on today's card on the long layoff horse Bobby Bow. Meanwhile, we go back to Oaklawn Park. Race 6 is next, approaching the 5-minute mark to post, and a race that kicks off the Big 4. 6 furlongs, 50,000 starter allowance. Let's go to Paulie.
Yeah, a little 6-pack here, guys, of, like you were saying, some horses here. And, you know, I thought this was a wide open group, as you could see the betting board. The 6 in here is very fast for Robertina Diodoro. It's a horse he got from the Kristen Mall barn. It's a horse that ran 1,000-yard races at Los Alamitos. If you can run in those races, you're very, very fast. So I can understand there at 4-1, but not really getting played off that good effort last time out. The 4 is the horse that's getting paid here. Pioneer Papa, the other Diodoro. Now, this is a horse coming in from the Mark Glatt barn, claimed 2 back, and has good numbers. And I've always said this, Mark Glatt, like I said, is, you know, a very, very good dirt trainer. I mean, in sprint trainer, too, he's phenomenal. I just think that, you know, the 4 and the 6 are going to be formidable. And here, they're Robertina Diodoro. And like Andy said yesterday, or today, he just wins races in bunches. It's getting ridiculous. The 1 in here, Lucky Boss, you know, Cipriano Contreras' horses has been live all meet, but they've been live on the board. And this one, not live on the board as you would like. coming out of that 50 and usually might need a race. This horse has been working out at Turfway Park. You know, when I looked at this race, I actually been waiting for Boat Song, the 5, to run back. This horse got left in the gate, got rushed up towards the rail, and literally almost skimmed the rail. The Bugboy had Gallardo had to take this horse back. Then the horse kind of re-rallied again. You know, this horse got gelded way back when. I think he's starting to figure it out. Now at 3-1, I know somebody has to get back because of the scratch. I mean, I'd like to get 5 or 6-1. And I know that he's going to have to improve to beat some of the Diodoros in here, but I think the 5 is live as can be in here.
All right, Paulie, thanks. Boat Song should be forward. 1 gate to wire, 2 back at Hawthorne. We'll return to this race in a moment. 7th coming up. Another look. There he is, Bobby Bowe. Long time away. August 27 of 2021. Makes his return here. He's the 8-5 favorite. Let's go down to Maggie.
And Greg, a horse that I did not see in that Albany going back to 2021, but watching the replay, which that race won by American Revolution, who would go on to win the Cigar Mile, then he dwarfed American Revolution. And not that he's that big of a horse, but Bobby Bowe, he's a big dude. He's tall, he's long, he's lanky. So it's definitely the right call, at least in my opinion, to bring him back going the mile. Now, he did come into the paddock full of himself. He was really on the muscle, really dragging his groom and the guy on the offside around the paddock, and he's still on it here as they continue to get the tack and equipment on him. And he does come back wearing the front wraps. Obviously, you expect to see that with such a long layoff. But fitness, you couldn't ask him to look any more fit than what he does, given the layoff. But still, I think there's reason to just take the wait and see approach. For me, it is all about number 2 in here, Golden Code. I remember that race. It was a tale of 2 horses coming back off layoffs, one for Chad Brown, who looked like a sprinter, but oddly just didn't, and I can't remember the horse's name off the top of my head, just oddly didn't look fit. This horse who looked tremendous, but not the right distance. And then it was my man Matty, who just didn't look as good. And so it was ripe for an upset that day. And I was just waiting for this guy, Golden Code, to come back going a mile. He looks fantastic here once again. He's gotten that tightener going the 6.5. Now he's back out to a distance where I think he is most competitive at. Greg?
All right, Maggie, thank you. If you believe, I mean, look, if there's a time to be, and who knows if he's going to come back. It looks like he's working sharp from all these bullet drills, but he may not be the same horse, Bobby Bowe.
Absolutely. And Michelle Nevin is not a trainer with great numbers off the layoff. Now, a horse like this, she might feel a certain amount of pressure to have him more ready off of the layoff. And no one's going to dispute that if he runs his race, and the track's been kind to his running style, he's going to be very tough to beat. So I understand why people like him. I just don't bet horses like this. Just don't want these kind of layoffs. They're not away for 19 months because they're working the party circuit. They have serious issues, and sometimes these horses come back and they just can't run it all like they could run before. And to expect them to run it, and I think there are other players in here. I think the 2 Golden Code, yeah, obviously, go ahead. No, go ahead. I just think he's very interesting. I like Golden Code. Now, I'm not betting him below 7.
I like him too, and I would say this. He didn't do any running early, but he started to run late in that race, that comeback race, which he had to have needed. This horse, I mean, on time form, I told you Thorograph, numbers weren't that great. Obviously, he could change. I mean, he was facing very good horses. What were they on time form?
On time form, he overlays the field, Bobby Bowe. Oh, Bobby Bowe is considerably faster because if you look at him, his pace-based numbers, he's going to be better. He's setting fast paces, and he's running well in those races. I don't think there's any knock. Now, I'll say something else about him, though. He is a Bob Baffert horse that took 3 starts to break his maiden at odds on. He lost at 1-2, 4-5, and 4-5. Now, I give them credit. After that, the connection said, why are we running a New York bred out in California? We can bring it to New York. And he ran behind a monster when he ran the Albany, and he ran well that day. But still, this is a horse that's disappointed more than he's succeeded. Now he's off a long layoff, and he's a short price. If this track was playing fairly, I would love to bet against him. But the way the track is playing, it may help him.
Wouldn't you say, too, he probably – there's no knock against his trainer at all. I think Michelle Nevin's terrific. Probably going to be at his best with Baffert?
Well –
or not necessarily?
I even think Michelle would say to you, I don't think I'm as good a trainer as I've proven to be as good a trainer as Bob Baffert. So, yeah, I don't think – I'll put it this way. I don't think she expects to improve the horse from Bob Baffert. She'd be very happy to get him to run back to those numbers. This horse ran some pretty gaudy numbers, though, in his starts.
Interesting race with his presence on the comeback. We'll get back to it. We go back to Oaklawn here. 6th race coming up with this 50,000 starter allowance, 6 furlong sprints. Let's go to JK.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the outside horse, the 6 Shady Empire. Drawn towards the outside. This horse ran well first time for Diodoro. Had some honest pace figures, has some tactical speed. And then the final number I thought was good enough to win this group as well. But I like the draw the most. Being towards the outside with a tactical horse is such an advantage. And to get a price like 7-2, I'd imagine it'll probably come down off of that. I love that. And really the only other horse that you got to, the main horse you got to worry about, the horse taking a lot of money, the 4 Pioneering Papa, is also trained by Diodoro. Well, Robertino has both of these horses. He thinks both of them, by entering both of them, you got to think he feels like both of them can compete with one another. Well, give me the one with the better draw, the better price.
JK, thanks. Boat Song. Odds just winning 4-1 right now on the 4.
I like the favorite. The 4.
On the 5, excuse me, Boat Song. Yeah, Pioneering Papa, 5-2 favorite. 6 steps in. We're set. Let's go to Jim Byers for the call.
And they're off. Pioneering Papa and Lucky Boss on the inside. There goes Shady Empire up from the outside. Then a length and a half. And Pledge of Allegiance is racing a fairly tight 4th. Boat Song is right outside of him. Spend Benjamins is trailing the field. They advance to the half-mile marker. It's going to be Shady Empire over on the inside, Lucky Boss. Shady Empire with the lead here. A half length to Lucky Boss. Pioneering Papa had to steady in traffic there. And then up to the outside comes Boat Song. He's in the clear. He's 3 wide in a second flight that's now chasing Shady Empire, who made that bid to the lead entering the far turn, and takes Pioneering Papa to the top of the stretch by only about a half length. Then Boat Song, Spend Benjamins, Lucky Boss toward the inside in the black, and Pledge of Allegiance is shuffled back to last. Pioneering Papa, and to the inside, Shady Empire. And here is Spend Benjamins, a possible late threat. It's Pioneering Papa, Spend Benjamins, and Shady Empire, Pioneering Papa. Not the clearest of trips, but he wins at 3 parts of a length over a photo for second between Shady Empire and Spend Benjamins.
Papa does it, wins for Robertino Diodoro. Christian Torres now 3 for 10 lifetime.
Christian was a little overconfident with this horse, and that's why he ended up steadying a little bit in the backstretch when he ended up being right and winning. But the only horse out of the 6 that I had pitched was Spend Benjamins, and I believe he got it for second.
And a big race runner-up finish. Let's go back to New York. Here we go. State bred A other than at a 1-turn mile. Here's Mason Mania.
I've run some reasonable races in his last couple of races. Just feels like they're better horses, but he's a big price and not terrible.
Overstep, a good one he had to deal with last time. He's, more than double his morning line. Golden Code, he ran a huge effort against Morello in the Grade 3 Gotham back as a 3-year-old.
Yeah, and obviously things went wrong. If you like him, which I do, and I know Greg agrees, we're both hoping he needed his last race.
Here's Saflo's Mission, who stretched out for the first time to a mile last start. He was second beat of length.
I think he's very dangerous. He showed a new dimension last time, showing that speed. Horse who won, got a perfect trip. I think he's possible.
Had to deal with being on the inside, too, in that stretch duel. Majestic Tiger went by. Here's the 5 Son of an X.
Yeah, you have to want this race to completely fall apart. And if you're way against Bobby Bone, you think it's going to collapse, it gives him a chance to get a piece.
To me, Simply the 6 ran a figure 3 starts back that no one in this race has run, even Bobby Bowe.
The problem is that he's never run that fig otherwise, so it's one of those one fig races. He's not impossible. I thought he and the 2 would vie for second choice.
And here he is. Oh, he went by. Long time away for Bobby Bowe.
When does he get that check, that $1.1 million check? Paulie's got it down, though, doesn't he?
33-1, Forever Wicked.
Yeah, he looks overmatched, as does the outside.
Yeah, Dates Freedom, tough to make a case for it, 58-1 as well. What to do with Bobby Bowe? JK, what do you got for us?
Well, look, I mean, I think there's a lot to unpack here, right? You know, it's this idea is Michelle Nevin going to move this horse up off of Bob Baffert? And I think that's probably a little bit of an unfair question. Little Red Feather Racing, a syndicate that spends a lot of time on the West Coast. A lot of their partners are on the West Coast. And despite the fact this is a New York bred, you still have a very talented 3-year-old. So let's start with a guy like Bob Baffert who wins a lot of 3-year-old races. And then, obviously, there was some situations. They tried to run the horse in the Albany. They didn't get the win. The horse ran well that day. There was clearly an issue to get some time off. I just don't feel like Michelle Nevin's going to send over a short horse. And to be fair, this horse doesn't really necessarily have to improve very much off of Bob Baffert in order to win this race. I think the horse needs to be fit. The horse needs to be healthy. And I feel like Michelle Nevin would send over a fit and healthy horse. So this is the best horse on paper, and I understand Andy's point. If you're betting win to win, and you're betting to win in a lot of races for a long time, betting horses like this will not end up well for you in the long run. But there is certain spots where I think that it is appropriate, depending on the wager that you're going to try to make, the opinion you're going to try to leverage here, whether it be an exacta or a try or a pick three or a double or whatever it might be. And I think that Bobby Bowe makes a ton of sense in here from that perspective. But I would not encourage you to bet horses like this to win all the time, if that makes any sense.
All right, JK, thanks. 8-5. He was acting a little maybe he just hasn't been on the racetrack in such a long time. He's feeling himself that he's finally back in the afternoon. 9-5 right now.
Yeah, I mean, without having seen him in the past, I can't really comment on that. Like I said, I would play against him, and I would use Golden Code, and I'd probably use him with the number 3 horse in this race, Safalo's Mission, the 6 Simply, and a Little Son of an X, and I would try to beat the favorite.
Dealing with a couple of multiple winners in here, like the 6 Simply, and Mason Mania with more. Let's go to Maggie.
Yeah, I prefer Golden Code. I think he's a more reliable option. And what you're kind of seeing is a horse that needs, with regards to your favorite, Bobby Bowe, a horse that needs to shake off the ring rust and those nervous that nervous energy. But let's talk about a few bigger prices. Well, actually, he just took a bit of a hit in number 1, Mason Mania. I feel like there are other horses that look better from him than he does, maybe from the kind of conditioning perspective, but great energy. He's like totally up for it today and warmed up really well. And he has the kind of running style and position with the rail that might suit him. If things kind of maybe just fizzle a little bit up front, he's going to be in that second flight. He's kind of that grinding style, just evenly runs his races, or he might be in the right position when it comes to the last 1/8 of a mile. As we'll take a look at number 5, Son of an X. Last time we saw him, he was coming back off of a short 6-day turnaround. And I always have kind of my checklist with horses coming off quick layoffs, and that is their weight good, is their energy right, do they look bright? And he didn't match that. He just looked a bit lighter than what he normally does, and today that weight's back on. He looks really strong behind the saddle, and he warmed up beautifully. Now, if he was my horse, I'd be running him in a little bit more of a bit that would give the rider a bit more leverage, because he likes to get out around the turn, and he just runs in a D bit. He also does show up wearing the front wraps for the first time, Greg, but I still liked what I saw out here on the racetrack.
All right, Maggie, thank you. Going to load up here momentarily. Story of the day has been Manny Franco. He's looking for his 6th victory today, his final mount of the afternoon, on a horse who has not raced in nearly 20 months. Bobby Bowe, been favored throughout. Used to be with Bob Baffert, moves to the Michelle Nevin barn.
Yeah, it's not about whether or not Michelle improving on Baffert. As John says, that's an unfair question. It's whether or not she can get him to run back to his races off the layoff. And Michelle Nevin is not a trainer that has them cranked up off layoffs. Doesn't mean this horse can't win. But I think it's probably because she believes, and I think she's a fabulous trainer, that they don't benefit from being cranked up off layoffs. That she wants to give him a little bit of chance to lose. I'm sure she wants to win. She's hoping he runs well. But she's a trainer who her style in general is not to crank him up off late. Right.
Yeah.
It's not to win, you're right, in March. It's to have a horse that's running this summer, maybe competitively in New York bred stake races.
Still,
the racetrack
talent.
And the racetrack. The rail's been strong if he clears, and he's supposed to clear unless he gets badly left.
Might just be much too good for this group. We will find out shortly in about a minute, 36 seconds or so.
Somewhere in there.
Chris Griffin with a feature on this Friday card.
And they're off. Simply flashes some early speed. There's Bobby Bow up on the outside with Cephalo's Mission, and at the rail moving through, that's Golden Code. It's going to be Bobby Bow and Golden Code. They're 1-2 as they get set to come out of the chute. Cephalo's Mission is going to track just off of them, is in third, now 2.5 lengths off the leader. And the leader alone up front, that's Bobby Bow and Manny Franco. Moving forward in the red cap, that's Majestic Tiger, who's in the center of the racetrack for Jason Wyas. At the rail there is Mason Mania and Eric Cancel there in fifth. Towards the tail end of the field, here comes Dates Freedom, is back there with Simply, who did break on top but is losing ground. The 2 at the back, that's Forever Wicked, and Son of an X at the back of the field. 4 across the racetrack, it's Bobby Bow, who's got a head in front. Golden Code is in pursuit, is right there in the 2 path, is challenging. Cephalo's Mission has had a nice journey, is 3 wide as they have less than a half mile to go, and Bobby Bow has now been passed. It's Bobby Bow who's dropping back through the field right now as Golden Code is the new leader. Cephalo's Mission has always traveled nicely there, is in the 2 path now. Then Majestic Tiger as Bobby Bow looks to be gone. Here comes Mason Mania's running on from 4th from the back. Simply's running on there with Dates Freedom. They went 47.37 for that pressured half-mile time. Cephalo's Mission is now a nose in front. It's Cephalo's Mission, but Golden Code is in for the fight down towards the inside, is battling on back. Cephalo's Mission and Golden Code, and they are now shoulder to shoulder. Here up on the outside, Mason Mania, and Simply from out of nowhere is now unleashed, and Simply found the room, and now Simply has now burst to the front. Mason Mania is not done though. Simply, Mason Mania now. Simply, Mason Mania. Mason Mania with a nose in front. Simply comes right back to the inside. Simply. And Mason Mania look like Simply over Mason Mania. Golden Code and Cephalo's Mission in an exciting 7th race in 1 minute 39.86 seconds.
Simply takes charge. Mason Mania overtakes him and then battles back for the victory here at 7-2.
You know, it's an odd situation and a nice ride on Simply. An excellent ride by Dylan Davis, who's really riding well, saving ground, angling out, doing everything right. And this was a fabulous ride, getting that position with him and being aware of the racetrack. No knock on Eric Cancel and Mason Mania, just a little bit, came up short. I think that Simply lost a little interest when he kind of made the lead, and it made Simply look like the one was coming, but it was ding-dongy the wire. You know, with both Kendrick Carmouche and Jose Lozcano on Golden Code and Cephalo's Mission, their feeling was, we got to worry about the 7, so we want to be in position with him. Well, as it turned out, they didn't have to worry about him because he ran like those 1,000-yard races that Paulie was talking about out in California. I am afraid something went wrong with him, and the layoff and then the way he stopped 3/8 a mile of the race. I don't know if we'll see him again anytime soon, unfortunately. I hope he's okay, and I hope he does come back soon. But this race just fell apart. You look at the final time they went, it was 1:40, and the fractions were pretty quick in relative terms, right?
I was overzealous. I'm on 136. Simply.
Well, you thought Bobby Bow was going to win by 20 lengths. That's what you were saying to me privately, so I'm not going to knock you for that.
Simply, we had said 3 starts ago, he ran the biggest figure anybody in this race has ever produced.
Yep.
Wins again here, and he does it after getting passed in the stretch to come back on a win here. Rob Atridge, Dylan Davis, Windy Lee Farm, 6-year-old son of Lemon Drop Kid. Upset score in the feature. Prices for you when we come back. Certainly a rising woman in the riding ranks. We'll have, it's a tongue twister, story of Kylie Jordan when we come back. She's 20 years old and already a multiple meet leading rider. Stay with us.
City of Light, a multiple Grade 1 winner with $5.6 million in earnings. Winner of the Grade 1 Malibu, the Grade 1 Triple Bend, the Grade 1 Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile, posting a 110 buyer, and the Grade 1 Pegasus World Cup, posting a 112 buyer. The best son to date of leading stallion Quality Road, City of Light stands to continue his sire's legacy at Lane's End.
Who you betting on? How about an app created specifically for horse racing? Naira Bets. We specialize in thundering hooves, fist pumping, and boosting your bankroll with robust weekly promotions. And offer betting tips from actual horse racing experts. Bet all day and night, nationwide. Get the action and thrill of horse racing with Naira Bets.
These are the trainers and teachers, The cooks, carpenters, and clockers, grooms and gardeners. These are the hard-working people who show up every day to keep horse racing running across the state. Good-paying jobs that support New York families, along with the thousands of local businesses that depend on Belmont Park. Modernizing Belmont Park would generate $1 billion in economic activity and protect and create thousands of jobs. Albany, create New York jobs. Modernize Belmont Park.
It's America's original sport, and no one covers it better than americasbestracing.net. From the sport to the lifestyle, the best races, horses, and destination venues, cocktails, gambling, fashion, and more. americasbestracing.net is a sport for you.
Day at the races on our FS2 coverage. It's brought to you in part where you can play all the action we bring you at Naira Bets. Go to nairabets.com and bet any track, anywhere, anytime. It's simply in a battle down the stretch with Mason Mania. We had a dead heat for third, by the way, between the 2 and 3.
And I don't want to discount the performance by Golden Cove and Sapphilo's Mission.
Winner's Circle lead-in brought to you by Fasig-Tipton Digital, North America's #1 digital auction platform for thoroughbreds. Fasig-Tipton Digital, the newest from the oldest. Learn more at digital.fasig-tipton.com. Let's head downstairs to Maggie.
We talked to the hot jock earlier. We're talking to the hot trainers. Rob Atras picks up his third win on the card. And the last two, Dame Cinco and Simply, matter of noses, Rob, but gritty effort by this veteran picking up win number 6.
Yeah, thanks, Maggie. Dylan gave him a real good trip, saved ground, and he hit the hole at the right time and was able to hold off the one, so it was good.
And he'd been knocking on the door at this condition, and you said that skipping the race that was in the book prior and giving just a little bit more time in between races has helped.
I think so. Yeah, he was kind of running every 3 weeks, and we didn't stop on him or nothing. We just decided to skip a race, and the owner was very patient, Kip. So it was good. I think it helped him today.
Yeah, you've had a lot of luck for Kip and Windy Lee Farm, but looking to the next race. Win number 4, Super Quality. Speaking of layoffs, he's not getting one. He's only having 5 days off.
Yeah, no, he came out of the race good, so we're hoping we can get a repeat performance.
All right, well, best of luck and congratulations on a big day.
Thanks, Maggie. Appreciate it.
Rob Atras winning his 3rd. Will there be a 4th in his future, Greg?
$9.90 for the victory. Again, dead heat for 3rd in here between Golden Code and Sapphilo's Mission.
When I look at that exact that paid $40, I get the feeling that in exactas, they weren't really betting Bobby Bow. And that's one of the reasons that logical horses like this combine for what you might look like as a lower payout.
And by the way, the answer to Maggie's question, many believe, yes, a 4th is in his immediate future. He's going to send out Super Quality, who right now is the 4 to 5 favorite in the nightcap. Rob Atras.
Wow, and based on the double price, he'll be 3 to 5. I'll be betting against. I like the 2 and 3 to beat him.
We get back to Oaklawn in a moment. Race 7, approaching the 12-minute mark to post. We'll show you the odds for that coming up in a moment. 6 furlong sprint for non-winners of 3 lifetime. Just 20 years old. Kylie Jordan already has people in the industry taking notice. With her family behind her all the way, Kylie has been going all out to pursue her dreams and serving as an inspiration in the small town she grew up in. Here's Maggie Wolfendale with more on racing's next up-and-coming rider.
20-year-old Kylie Jordan can't imagine doing anything else.
I get on horses every single day, and that's what I love to do. And just being able to make trainers and owners happy and stuff like that's a big part too. Gosh dang. I always just need a little bit more ground with her every time.
It's horses and family 24/7.
My sister's always been right there next to me, and I appreciate it and super grateful for that. My parents have always been super supportive of everything. They try to come down and watch me as much as they can if they're not at the track that I'm at, and I just have a great family that I can rely on for support.
Kylie and her older sister Taylin grew up in a small town in Iowa near Prairie Meadows. Their playground was the backstretch, helping and watching their father, Todd Jordan, train a small string of horses.
Me and my sister grew up on horses. We were out in the barn every single day.
Kylie started galloping horses as a 16-year-old. She got her jockey's license at age 20. Kylie may have won her first race in May of 2021.
And here's the win for apprentice Kylie Jordan.
But 2022 was a storybook beginning to her career.
Winning rider is Kylie Jordan.
She won riding titles at Will Rogers Downs and Prairie Meadows. And oh yeah, she also had a mount in the 2022 Breeders' Cup.
She has an innate ability to feel the horse and judge the horse and know its amount of energy. I think you're born with that. I don't think it's something that you can make, but you can improve. And Kylie has done that on her own because she's a hard worker and she loves horses and enjoys what she's doing.
That's probably my biggest strength, is just understanding the horse. That's my favorite horse, Handicapping. All the Gallup boys don't like getting on him, and he's like a pony for me.
With all of this success, there have been several viewing parties in Kylie's hometown of Fredericksburg, Iowa. Population 969.
Everybody's super supportive from back home, and I'm happy that I kind of opened everybody's eyes in the horse racing world back home, you know, because they didn't know anything about it until I started riding, and now there's watch parties and everything going on. It's something that you can't even really explain. It's a great feeling.
Young rider with a ton of talent, already has a couple of meet titles under her belt. Unfortunately, her mount scratched in the 7th race coming up, but we're going to hear that name a lot the rest of this meet.
Yeah, and I'm always looking to see the women do well in riding. They're such a big part of everything we do in life, but certainly around the racetrack, a lot of the situations behind the scenes. But you see the women riding well here. Maddie Oliver riding as an apprentice rider. Jackie and Kay Davis riding. Kay, I think, has ridden extremely well since coming back and riding here. Somebody had to support the family while Trevor was on the sidelines, and she did really, really well winning that stake with Funny How. Yeah, she's been riding very, very well, and a big part of the game and a big part of the riding community.
We're going to take a timeout. We'll be back when we return. Another look to that showdown in the Distaff division with the two big-name returnees. Talked about Secret Oath, last year's Kentucky Oaks winner. What about Clariere, who has been a star for the Asmussen Barn and Stone Street Stables? Joelle Rosario will be aboard for her 5-year-old return tomorrow.
Tampa Bay Downs has a rich thoroughbred horse racing history in Florida dating back to 1926. Celebrities such as Babe Ruth, Jack Dempsey, and John Ringling all attended opening day. In 1981, Hall of Fame jockey Julie Crone won her first career race here, and in 2007, we saw Street Sense win the Tampa Bay Derby and go on later that year to win the Kentucky Derby. Featuring full fields, great turf racing, and a 15% takeout on our Pick 5, Tampa Bay Downs is live racing every Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Extra heat on the outside, above perfection at the rail. They drilled a half together in 44 3/5 seconds. Stormy Pick, Harmony Lodge, Ostrop P just in behind the lead. Shooting Party far outside 6th. 1 furlong to go. Extra Heat, Heavy Drive, short lead. Above Perfection is battling on, but she grudgingly gives way to Extra Heat coming down to the line at the wire. Extra Heat, a hard-fought head.
One of my all-time favorites, Extra Heat. She sold a few times in her career, including for just $5,000 as a 2-year-old in training. 26 wins from 35 career starts. That brilliant runner-up finish, the Breeders' Cup Sprint. She beat Boys in the Grade 3 Phoenix. 25 of those 26 wins, black type. Announced just earlier this week she had passed away back in December.
Yeah, I'd heard some stories that she had passed away, but they couldn't really confirm it. I always thought one of the best efforts she ever had was a losing effort. And sometimes you find more about horses. She dueled in an insane pace in the test. And Victory Ride actually picked her up. It was a very good horse that Rusty Arnold trained. Picked her up for the win, but she ran second at 7 furlong Saratoga. I'm going to look it up, but I think that pace, 21-2, 44 flat dueling. I mean, she was
amazing. A diminutive thing. She was shy of 15 hands, but she was all heart. Let's go to Maggie for more.
Well, a horse that is very near and dear to my heart. I mean, primarily because she started down in Maryland, and the Salzmans, very close family friends to me and my family as well. And I remember, John Sr. picking her out along with his sons, Timmy and John Jr. And they taught me something that I still use today when talking about her, and that she was so fast that she kind of ran into the ground, like she was eating it up. And that's something that a quality that you always look for in fast horses. And you said it, Greg. I mean, she walked into the paddock and you thought nothing of her. But when she got out on that racetrack, she was nothing but heart. And furthermore, the Salzmans, they're very, they're predominantly 2-year-old trainers. And while she went 8 for 9 in her 2-year-old season, she obviously went on from there and ridden by another good friend for most of her career, in Rick Wilson. I remember actually going on vacation with the Salzmans and Rick Wilson when he had gotten hurt, and Tim and John Sr. were in Dubai when she yet again put in a valiant performance over there facing males. So it's sad to see her go, but boy, did she give us so many memories on the racetrack and taught us what truly the heart of a racehorse is.
She was special. 33 of her 35 career starts, by the way, hit the board.
She was a remarkable racehorse in so many ways, and it just shows you where she started out, how little they paid for her, starting out and claiming races and achieving success at the absolute highest level of games. I remember being at Belmont when Squirrel Squirt, who was Bobby Frankel's first Breeders' Cup winner, beat her in the sprint, but just feeling so bad and better, but just feeling so bad for her. She's a huge price that day too, like 20-something to 1, or she a crazy price that day?
No, I don't think so. Let's see.
Maybe not.
No, you're right. 17-1.
Yeah.
7th at Oaklawn, 4-5 favorite, Secret Fix. Robertino, Diodoro, Christian Torres, formidable connections, Paulie.
Yeah, they are formidable connections. And just to expand on Extra Heat, she was one of my favorites as well. And yeah, I thought she was 27-1, Annie, but man, she ran a giant race, and just shows you don't have to pay much for heart when it comes to a horse, because she was one of those horses that was just special. She just had such natural speed. Do you understand what it takes from the 1 hole to basically lead at the top of the lane in the Breeders' Cup Sprint? And you're a filly. Now, I know Honest Lady and some other ones have ran well, but my goodness, she was just a superstar in my aspect. In many races that she won too. And she was always one of my favorite horses, especially, a kind of horse that was like a workman's-like horse. I always felt like I kind of was like her, somebody that was nobody in the draft and sort of came on. I was no Extra Heat. I was never her, but at least I made it, and a horse like her deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. Okay, let's get to this race. When you get to Secret Fix in here, the 7, I just think the 7 is going to be really tough to beat in here, and the reason why is, the 9's the other horse that's really getting bet in here, knowing glance. Secret Fix, the last 2 times this horse has ran, she has absolutely hated the slop. 2 back, I had better that day, and, Uguri and Hot and Sultry, those are 2 very nice mares, and she got beat that day. She was actually second choice to Uguri, if I'm not mistaken. Hot and Sultry came back to win. And then the next time when she came back, I bet against her, because she just seems like she just does not like any moisture in the ground. Now, without any moisture in the ground, I think she's going to be really tough to handle in here. The 9, Knowing Glance, hasn't been out since July, does have a good pattern of works. You do get Isaac Castillo aboard in a horse that was void of claim, but, that was a while ago. So now 20, dropped to 20, I thought was interesting. In the other outside horses, the 10, Morning Twilight, I know an Oklahoma bred, but, ran in some decent Oklahoma races and has some decent figures to go to. I just think the 7 and the Diodoro train just keeps on going at 6-5 here, guys.
It was an Oklahoma bred, so she resents that, Paulie. So was Kip DeVille.
Yeah.
After that, not maybe quite as strong.
What are your thoughts here on the favorite Secret Fix?
Well, I think that he's the horse, or she's the horse to beat, excuse me, but don't you worry a little bit that the 5, Sassy Saggy, could get involved in the pace with her, and maybe they go a little bit too fast, and that works out and helps a horse like the 9, Knowing Glance? It just seems to me, why is Mike Maker shipping Knowing Glance to Oaklawn? He hasn't run that many horses there, but his horses have been pretty live, the ones he's run there. So I know the horse has been out for a while, but I don't know. No, it's a big drop down, but I thought Knowing Glance had a chance to upset.
This is the last time we saw her. It was at Saratoga going 7/8 back on July 31st.
Yes, Trade Secret getting the job done tweak. Not a super, super strong race. And keep in mind something else. These are 3-year-old restricted races. So even though they're $50,000, it's almost like they're worth half of that. So now running in 4-year-old and up races, there's no surprise versus running for 20. This is not really a 50. This is really a 25.
Yeah,
so
point.
It's not really that big a drop down.
I wanted to make a case for the 8 Very Good. There's some big names in the running lines relative to this group.
I'm thinking of that old Saturday Night Live routine, Very, Very Good. Way back, right?
Yes. Faced second, beat a neck to Capelia, who's become a monster of late. Faced Marion Francis, a good one for Brad Cox. Long time away, though, February of 22.
Yeah, no, I don't think that horse is impossible in here. And Secret Fix is a hard horse to, because Secret Fix has a huge number 3 back. Obviously, a number like that, the horse would win. 6.5 furlong race. I don't know. She's the horse to beat Secret Fix. I worry the pace might get a little hot for her.
Back to it. You look at the last couple of races, they were in the mud, getting back to a fast track for the first time since that big figure. JK, your thoughts?
I thought that the 9 Knowing Glance was a little bit interesting, but this horse comes in off a very long layoff. Ran for 50 a couple times this summer at Churchill Downs and at Saratoga, places that you want to win, places that you want to kind of pick up these big purses. Now shows up off of a long break for 20. It's tricky because Paradise Farms and Mike Maker do a great job in the claiming game, and they'll, when they got one that they feel like needs to move on, they'll move on from that horse, but you just never really know if they're going to run well or not. I'm going to vote based on the way that this board is showing up, that I'm not going to fall for the Knowing Glance thing. That was the only alternative I could come up with when trying to beat the 7 Secret Fix. Unfortunately, I got to go with the favorite here, Secret Fix.
4-5, public agrees. We'll see if this 9, though, for Mike Maker, long time away, can make an impact. But it is a fairly sizable step up here, facing older company for the first time.
We'll see. It is tough to beat that Diodoro train. I'm going to try to do it.
Chris Griffin. Excuse me, Jim Byers, the call. I knew that would happen to me eventually. 7th from Oaklawn.
Morning Twilight being led forward. And the last in is Knowing Glance. They're all in line. They're off. Very Good was shuffled back after the start. Dream Streak is racing out early for the lead with Sassy Sagey. Secret Fix is right there off the leader to the outside. And Secret Fix is eagerly moving up here to engage Dream Streak. And then comes Knowing Glance. She's advanced on the outside of Sassy Sagey and races into third by a head. Then Sassy Sagey and 2 lengths to Barry Good, who's raced into mid-pack now. The back end of the field are Me Crescendo, followed by Lady Astrid. And the trailer is Morning Twilight. Morning Twilight well back there, double digits off the lead as they come for the top of the stretch. Secret Fix sits outside of Dream Streak. And these two matching strides as they enter the stretch. Knowing Glance gets a right-handed tap. She's third on the outside, then Barry Good. Secret Fix, the rider has not uncocked the whip yet, but Knowing Glance is coming up on her on the outside. Back to the inside, Dream Streak. Secret Fix put to the test. Knowing Glance right there. Secret Fix. Knowing Glance. Secret Fix on the inside. Holds on. Confident handling results in a neck win over Knowing Glance. Then 5 lengths back to Dream Streak, followed by Barry Good.
Secret Fix able to hold off Knowing Glance. Looked like she had her number. Just, it's been tough this meet. These horses so many times range up to the outside of horses and just don't seem to finish.
9-2 versus 3-5. I feel like Chuck Person. If I had to do it over again, I'd bet her and she'd win. But she didn't get it done today. 3-5 on Secret Fix. Holds on by a head.
Let's get to the Nightcap in New York. 16,000 claiming race for horses who have not won 2 life. Sprinting 6 furlongs. John's Electric Ride kicks things off.
And the question here is, you want to go against the 3-5. John's Electric Ride has that 1 decent effort, 2 back. I don't think it's good enough, and I don't think he wins second off a layoff.
Cobbler ran a really big debut, missed by a nose 2 back. That was sprinting. Gets back to sprinting today.
Nothing wrong with his last race either. He engaged in a very fast pace with an extremely good horse in Overstep. If you don't like the favorite, he may be the most likely winner.
What do you do with Vive Bien? The first 2 starts of his career, both wins, huge figures in Florida.
I took an optimistic viewpoint and picked him. I thought the 2 and 3 were the right 2 to play against. I took the 3 to slightly better price, but she'll obviously have to improve.
Raw Courage, big price, deservedly so.
Friend David Aragona likes her, and she's 31-1, so throw her in your supers. Him.
Star Attitude, trained by Carlos Martin.
Nah, he just can't win off any race he's ever run.
He's got a short fuse, another big price here. This one for Jimmy Ryerson.
There's that 1 decent effort, 3 back. All the others are way too slow.
Misbehaved. Long shots continue here.
Yeah, this horse has this is the first time this horse has run in back-to-back racetracks in quite a while, Greg.
And is the separation that big between Super Quality and the Cobbler?
Well, it is if Super Quality runs the last race, but the other races, no, not at all. And where did it come from? Was it bias-aided? Probably. Coming back just 5 days after that effort.
Yes, big question there. Rob Atras, though, he's been the hot hand. Can he get another one here, Maggie?
Yeah, this is what you call striking when the iron's hot in more ways than one when it comes to the Atras barn here with Super Quality. And look, he makes the checklist. Energy is fantastic. Weight is good for him. He's not one that does carry that much conditioning. But I can't fault him here. But that short of a price, I don't know. I'm going to go bombs away here and actually team up with our good friend David Aragona. But number 3, Vive Bien, let's talk about him a little bit. He was coming off of a layoff, a 5-month layoff last time, and he kind of stayed on the rail around there, and he just looked tired as they came down the lane, and he is a hefty boy. It kind of makes you wonder why they haven't necessarily gelded him yet, because I think gelding him would make him a little bit lighter and probably a little easier on himself. But here we are. He's still a colt. Looks great, just very healthy, warmed up well, but still wondering if he's going to need one for fitness. As the 4 Raw Courage, David likes him, and he brought up good points in that it's a positive rider change. He's shown some glimpses at rounding back into some of his former form that he had. Look, he's 1 for 21 lifetime, so he's not a winning type. But if I threw my PPs out and just looked at these horses in the paddock, blindly, if you will, I would say the 4 looks best. That's where I'm going, Greg.
Another vote of confidence for Raw Courage. So not just David Aragona, morning line maker, Maggie Wolfendale as well.
We'll see. Big price. Not going to knock big prices. I took the number 3. I think this 9's a horrible gamble at 9-5. It's a 1-number horse on a bias-aided racetrack, but maybe gets another one today. We'll see.
For you, it's Vive Bien, the 3. 86 buyers back-to-back to start off his career.
Somewhere in there.
There was obviously
talent.
Horse. Has not come close to that since. The Cobbler, meanwhile, the 2, Jackie Davis. This horse ran a really huge number first time out, too. A little bit sneaky.
I thought the Cobbler ran well last time. I think to knock the Cobbler because the finish is to miss what the horse did in the race, dueling with that overstep. What a terrific race he ran in his next start. Overstep looks like a New York bred stakes horse, frankly.
3 for 4 for Pletcher?
Yeah, the Pletcher of Holy horse. And his last race was super and a very tough
And
field.
obviously he's a better sprinter, and he's back to sprinting today, 7-2. Meanwhile, Rob Atras looking for number 4 on today's card with the odds-on favorite, Super Quality. Chris Griffin, the call, the Nightcap from New York.
And they're off, and unseating the rider at the start was the Cobbler. The Cobbler unseating Jackie Davis at the start. Assistant starter's taking a look at her. She's sitting right back up. They work up the backstretch now, but the 2 is out of the race. It's Super Quality who's in front, and the favorites got the lead, is up by now 5 lengths. In second here towards the inside, that's Viva Bien. Then comes Star Attitude, who's in third. Raw Courage is followed by He's Got a Short Fuse towards the tail end of the field. John's Electric Ride is back there with Misbehaved. Again, the loose horse is in the clear, is at the back end of the field, and Jackie Davis is up and walking off the racetrack as we speak. It's Super Quality and Kendra Carmouche, and they are 6 lengths clear. It's Super Quality trying to replicate what we just saw last week, is approaching a quarter mile left to go, went 22-4, unopposed on the front end for that opening quarter mile. Vive Bien is chasing. Here comes Star Attitude up on the outside, is challenging for a minor placing as well, but with a furlong left to go, Kendra Carmouche has not moved yet on Super Quality, who's just striding away. Super Quality is going to wheel right back and have another dominating victory here inside the final 16th. No doubt about the winner. Rob Atras having a day himself with 4 wins on the card. Super Quality gets the score. Viva Bien for second, then came Star Attitude with Raw Courage up for fourth, then 1 minute 12.50 seconds.
Well, right out of the gate, one of the main contenders to the odds-on favorite dumped his rider, Jackie Davis, the Cobbler in here, and Super Quality, easy time of things.
Yeah, and Jackie got up, so then Chris Griffin called that she got up, so we're hoping everything is okay. The 2 finished the race, so it's one of those things, but I guess it's one of those days. Rob Atras had some short prices, but they delivered, not all favorites. 4 wins for Rob, 5 for Manny Franco. Kendrick managed to get a win in there somewhere. Dylan won too. But this race was over about 5 seconds into it.
3-5 favorite closes things out. There's Kendrick. Saw him take a look back, concern for Jackie Davis, but as you heard and said by Chris Griffin that she was walking, so that's good news. And they did catch up, we're being told, with the loose horse as well.
Yeah, and I saw her across the wire, so all's well. So we're obviously a tough incident to start, but as long as the horse is okay and Jackie's okay, most important thing.
This was almost, well, it was easier than last time when he won by more than 13 lengths.
Greg, it was still light out at 5 o'clock yesterday.
We're setting the clocks back, aren't we, in a couple days?
Going forward, you mean?
I mean, forward, fall
If you
forward.
set him back,
Spring forward.
if you set him back, you might be here a little late on Sunday. So Eric's here.
Spring
Be careful. Greg's already got an excuse to be late on Sunday.
We do that Monday?
Sunday, I'll be off.
We'll be back right after this. Stay tuned.
Whatever you use to predict future stallion success, breathe slowly and gaze at the desert's first great championship race. Curlin won it. So did Street Cry, Arrogate, and now, in a time even faster than Arrogate's, Mystic Guide. The cold hard fact is, after this, he was rated the best horse in the world. Mystic Guide. New to Darley.
The Cross Country Pick 5 combines the best racing from New York with top races from around the country in one bet. Find it in your track menu and play every Saturday. Races are posted weekly at NYRABets.com/crosscountry.
Eclipse champion Blaine, a proven sire with over 15% lifetime stakes horses. His recent top runners include graded stakes winner and Kentucky Derby hopeful Litigate.
Litigate going to go on to win it here.
As well as Kentucky Oaks hopeful Wet Paint. Also an emerging broodmare sire, his stakes-producing daughters include the dam of Eclipse champion and Kentucky Derby favorite Forte.
Forte to win the Breeders' Cup Juvenile.
Blaine, standing at Claiborne Farm.
Racetrack Television Network brings you every race, from every track, on every screen, every day. With monthly packages starting as low as $5, RTN gives you great value and access to more live HD streaming and race replays than anyone. Visit RTN.tv today to sign up and watch on almost any device, including Roku and Amazon Fire. RTN has packages that start at $5 per month.
The industry has a few things that we have to take care of better, and one was the aftercare of the horses.
If we did nothing, these horses would end up in very bad places.
Go back to where we were years and years and decades ago when it was just considered de rigueur that you could just send these horses to slaughter.
It's different than any other program that was put into place.
I remember that meeting at Belmont Park. It was a dream.
It is a first line of defense for those who are concerned about what happens to the equine athlete after he's done racing.
Without the TAA to provide that oversight, there would be a big void in terms of making sure that we have this ongoing safe environment for our off-the-track racehorses.
We started with some 21 organizations across the country, and now we're up to over 82 facilities throughout the country and giving away almost just under $25 million.
It's the one shining accomplishment that we have that we can point to say we really do love our horses.
Just the word aftercare has become part of the discussion, has been part of the vernacular in a way that it was not when I started this position around the start of 2013.
It's a daunting task that the TAA and its accredited organizations have taken on. And that's why the industry itself has got to fund it.
Every time I turn around across the country, you know, the TAA staff is there, and they're shaking hands and they're kissing babies, and they're doing the blocking and tackling right that needs to be done.
We have a social responsibility to make sure that thoroughbred aftercare is also #1 on the list.
Back with you on America's Day at the Races on our FS2 coverage on this Friday afternoon. Thanks for being with us. It's brought to you in part by Claiborne Farm. 100 years of doing the usual, unusually well. Card in the books in New York. As easy as could be for super quality here. Back-to-back wins. It was margin 13 1/4 lengths. Last time we saw him, I didn't hear what Chris Griffin said the margin was here. Close.
Well, I imagine he was probably claimed out of this race, you would assume. I don't know that for sure, but I'm guessing he's got claimed. But that's it's a weird improvement by this horse, a horse who was completely uncompetitive in these races, just 2 starts back in the rest of his career.
Actress, 4 wins this afternoon for the trainer, Kendrick Carmouche on the board. And again, owned by Windy Lee Farm. Pick 4. $83. Modest pick 5, just over 280, I believe.
And that's a fast time on this racetrack. I don't know where this horse's turnaround came from, but it's been remarkable in a short period of time.
They've never run a figure, ran at what, a 66? And ran at 80.
And that felt like a number they probably lowered a little bit. It was the first race of the day.
Sorry, that was turf. The big figures were on turf.
Right, he's running 50 buyers before his last race.
Secret Fix back at Oaklawn, 3-5 favorite. Got a late test from Knowing Glance out the long layoff. This horse probably going to be very ready next time out.
Thanks, Greg. I bet him today. It's not helping me. You told me I wasn't getting by. You turned to me and I said I'm getting by. You said they never get by. You were right. Good call.
Only when we need them. They never get by.
Right, exactly.
7-9-6 in the 7th at Oaklawn. Race 8, you're telling me you're going to leave for the feature at Oaklawn?
It's going to be hard, but I'm going to pull myself away. Maggie told me she really wants to be here for the last couple at Oaklawn. Who am I to deny what Maggie Wolfendale wants? I might be lying here, but it's possible.
All right, well, I guess goodbye then.
Try not to be
feature
so hard. I'll
race,
see you
meanwhile,
tomorrow.
coming up at Oaklawn. I'll be joined by Maggie
You'll
Wolfendale.
be fine. You're getting an upgrade.
See you tomorrow. Obviously, huge afternoon tomorrow from Oaklawn with the distaff showdown in that grade 2 Azeri. And Road to the Derby from Tampa Bay. We'll have it for you, and he'll be back with us then. Maggie joins me after a short timeout. Stay tuned. This Saturday, Kentucky Derby points are on the line at Tampa Bay Downs. Tune into America's Day at the Races for live coverage featuring Lafitte Pinkai and Acacia Clement on site for the Grade 3 Tampa Bay Derby. Catch all the action from 3 to 6:30 Eastern on FS2. Back with you on America's Day at the Races on our FS2 coverage. We've talked about this big day coming up at Tampa Bay, Road to the Derby, but a lot more than just that race. Look at the undercard. It is loaded with stakes action. We're going to have live coverage for you Saturday afternoon on America's Day at the Races. Hope you join us. The big one, though, our ABR Race of the Week. And here to talk with me about it, Maggie Wolfendale. You do everything for us on the set now for the last hour of coverage.
I try. I also switch out microphones. Yep. So
multitasker, multi-talented. We're going to talk about some of the others in here.
Yeah.
Quick impressions, though, for you before we get to the rest of this group at Tapich Race.
I mean, Acacia was right. In the piece that we saw from her with Todd Pletcher, this horse has an enormous stride. I'm really impressed with the way he moves. I think it's so promising that Todd has said several times that he thinks he's a horse that should relish the extra ground. And two, it feels like he has a bit of a pace advantage, Greg. He has that early speed, which makes him tactically advantageous in this Tampa Bay Derby. But yeah, we'll look at the ones that participated in the prep, the Sam F. Davis.
Yeah, 2nd through 5th finishers, along with the 7th and 11th place finishers, all coming out of that Sam F. Davis. And we'll take a look at it. Go back to the beginning of the race.
Oh, it was messy, wasn't it? I mean, were we all set together?
We may have been.
And I just said to you, I was like, whoa, what is going on? Obviously, W. Nell, he was a favorite. He just got annihilated. Now, keep your eye on, Classic Car Wash, he's up forward, and then he has to steady back here. And he's going to continue to steady back where he loses all position early. And he runs on well towards the end. And then Groveland, I think he has the best trip of anyone. He got a nice pocket trip on the inside. He was able to hold that position, rally down towards the rail. And then you have Classic Legacy, the little brother to Art Collector, who
I think ran well. Had a bit of a wide trip, had to pick up more pieces than many. He kind of followed Litigate here. So, yeah, it feels like Classic Legacy might be the one that you want.
Wound up fourth. You're going to get Aaron Ortiz Jr. tomorrow. And,
Yep.
yeah, he did. He lost a lot of ground in that race. Saw Classic Car Wash dip down to the inside. I don't know how Classic Legacy got nailed for third. Somehow he did.
I know.
I had to stop and rewatch it about 4 or 5 times. Yeah, he seems like maybe the one that can step up. Obviously, everyone's got to try and beat Tapit Trice, though, in this race.
Yeah, he looks really, really nice as Todd looks for his 6th win in this Tampa Bay Derby. And I just think he's a really, really nice horse. I will say that Champion's Dream, who we also saw in there, kind of a non-effort. Mark Cassidy did say he had a legitimate excuse and that he blew a shoe and then popped an abscess out of his foot. So maybe one that can rebound that showed so much promise as a 2-year-old.
And, too, for Tapit Trice, some issues getting out of the gate. Pletcher said he's been working on it with him. We'll see if I don't even know if that's enough to impede him tomorrow. But
no, exactly.
Maybe it is.
And good for Mandy Pope. They paid a lot for this colt, $1.3 million in the end, and she has just put so much into the game. I'd love to see her have a Derby horse. And then even as going back to Classic Legacy, Greg, Bruce Lunsford, being a Louisville native, to have a horse on the Derby Trail is very exciting for him.
Feature coming up at Oaklawn. 6 furlong sprint, Arkansas bred allowance runners who have not won 2 lifetime. And one way or another, as we expected right now, the favorite off those 2 narrow defeats each of the last 2 starts. That was talk about a brutal beat. We had a couple of brutal beats today for runners at Aqueduct.
Yeah.
Run Fearless just stole that race right out from under one way or another last time out at 21-1.
I mean, he just kind of popped up from nowhere and really, one way or another, did all the dirty work up front, and just, it was kind of a heartbreaker. I felt bad for Connections and the people who had him.
We're going to get to him in a moment. We're going to start with a long shot here in this post parade from the rail, 54-1. No, we won't. We start with the 11. There's Guest in My Heart.
Okay. I mean, maybe she's being a little bit naughty out there. But, yeah, she looks too slow on paper, Greg.
53-1 on the rail. Here's amazing debate.
Yeah, and she, like many of these, got wired last time out by Benny Kay and Susie, too.
Gramercy Park, 9-2, John Ortiz.
She was the one with the wide trip last time, and I think she should improve with that race under her belt.
Miss Carroll County, she got a number last time out, puts her in the mix if she can improve.
Yeah, but it doesn't line up with the rest of the horses that she faced in that race.
She's storming at 11-1, Kylie Jordan.
Yeah, she'll have to improve. I mean, she really didn't make any noise in that last start.
Early dismissal, 5-year-old mare.
Yeah, it feels like they're giving her this sprint race as one off the layoff seems to be a bit better going longer.
And her win was on the turf, going longer. Here's one way or another, the favorite at 9-5.
Yeah, look, she's a speed in here. It was a heartbreaker last time, and she's been in good form with 3 consecutive seconds.
Pattern Bet, she's a big player in here. She's paired up her last 2 starts.
Yeah, she could be right there with one way or another.
KJ's Pistol Annie, any chance?
Nope.
Big step. That was a soft field she faced last time. Mazingo, we'll see next. The 10, 6-1, Tom Amoss.
I mean, maybe third off the layoff is the charm here, but she was no match for several of the other ones that she faces here yet again.
4 minutes to post. In our feature race coming up, let's go to Paul.
Yeah, the interesting race here is sort of a rematch between Pattern Bet and One Way or Another. And when you go back and you watch that replay, One Way or Another sort of just opened up a little bit on the backside a tiny bit. And then Martin Garcia tried to give the horse a little bit of a breather. It might have tried to get a little bit more separation. During that time, Pattern Bet was trying to find some room and was actually getting backed up in that race. Now, they've sort of changed, I guess, One Way or Another has gotten the best of Pattern Bet both times, but I thought Pattern Bet is going to get a nice trip today. And it hinges on whether somebody can go with the 6. I thought Maggie made a great point. Listen, One Way or Another can control this. She's very fast. Will the 10 show any speed? Will the 2 show any speed? Because the problem with the 7, Pattern Bet, who is now your co-favorite here and is actually about $200 your favorite, she has trouble out of the gate. She needs to break a little bit better. She's not going to just break like a pistol. No pun intended to the 8, KJ's Pistol Annie, but she's just got to get out of the gate and be in position and hope that One Way or Another does get some pressure. So I landed on pattern bet in here. I thought she just didn't have the right trip. After that last race, Ron Moquette was really disappointed with the effort, and I think she's going to give a bang-up effort today. But again, I thought it was a two filly race in here between the 6 or 7 to win this. The 10 is interesting. I will give the 10 as an interesting horse, but just after watching, some of the races here, I think the 7's sitting on a big race. But if nobody goes with the 6, she could be long gone.
Yeah, I agree with Paul. I think the 7 is sitting on a very big race. But to the numbers I look at, the 3 ran at the same number last time out, and she's right now 6-1. Let's go back to that one way or another pattern bet race, though, when they met.
Yeah, you're going to see one way or another here on the front end. Look, she, as they like to say, she wins the battle, but she loses the war in the end. And pattern bet, she's down on the rail. And like Paul was saying, it's not like she's really tardy out of the gate. She breaks, but then she almost gets like claustrophobic and she kind of checks herself out of there. And probably rallying up the rail with a horse that gets kind of intimidated by other horses being around her probably wasn't necessarily the right move in the end. So she draws a little bit more towards the outside. She can play things maybe to her inside, and it would be preferable for her. But Greg, the horse that I'm most interested in that just left our screen is number 2, Gramercy Park, because I thought she had a wide trip behind a gate-to-wire winner last time out. She kept fighting to the line, and she just kind of ran too like she needed the race off that long layoff. And I think Gramercy Park is she's taking some money at 5-1, is the alternative to your 2 favorites.
Let's go to Jonathan. JK, how are you going to play it?
My shoe just fell off. Look, I really wanted to play the 6 one way or another here, but as I looked a little bit deeper and dug a little bit deeper into the race, the 3 Miss Carroll County kind of kept kind of waving her hand at me here. She was going 5.5 last time. They're going to be going 6 this time. I don't think that there's a huge difference between 5.5 and 6, but there's obviously a difference, or they wouldn't run 5.5 for long races. But she's got a lot of early speed. And from the inside, I think that she can really put some pressure on the other horses, including her main foe, in my opinion, in the 6 one way or another. And if you look at the way that she ran her last race, she did show a lot of early speed. She kind of got a little bit of a breather, and then she kind of finished up her race. And it makes me feel like she'll have no problem going a little bit further, going the 6 furlongs. She did it on a sloppy racetrack 2 back with a nice speed figure and a nice number. I wish she was drawn outside of the 6 in here, but the way that the prices are lined up, 6-1 versus 2-1, I have no problem taking the 3, although I feel like I'm a little bit outdrawn by the 6.
Got that big number in that win last time out. I agree, and there's upside with her, too. She's lightly raced, but she's obviously stepping up to a whole other level here.
You guys can have her. I learned a valuable lesson out at Oaklawn when it comes to these Arkansas breds. They often cannot pair races back-to-back. And that's what Miss Carroll County is trying to do here. And furthermore, that number, while she won by 6.5 lengths, so it could be legit as it pertains to her, but the horses that she beat could barely crack a 50 buyer. Barely. I mean, they're more like mid-40 buyer types of horses that she beat last time. And I get it. She's lightly raced. She has pace. Is she as fast as one way or another? I don't think so. And she's going to have to do it from the inside. Like I said, she's not for me. Yeah. I prefer the 2, and then I have nothing against the 2 favorites. Other than the 7, does she really have it in her? And 2, yeah, I don't think it was the greatest type of trip for her, given the way that she likes to run last time.
It's going back and forth favoritism between the 6 or 7 in here. There is Ron Moquette's pattern bet. Rematch with one way or another. And still, Bazingo's taking a little bit of money in here. At 7-1 with the meets leading rider.
Yeah, exactly. I think that might be a little bit of connections, wouldn't you say, with Tom Amos. Tom's horses usually tend to get bet, I feel like, especially out there at Oaklawn. She's going to have to improve with what we've seen from her, but there has been some gradual improvement from that first start off the layout to the second, and she could take another step forward again.
Feature race coming up here on this Friday card from Oaklawn. 9-5, one way or another, 2 narrow defeats. Last couple of starts, brutal beat against Run Fearless. And pace-wise in here, obviously she's going to be there, the favorite. And then I would get Miss Carroll County. Who else? Anyone else you think can try and pressure?
Gramercy Park won't be that far off of it. Obviously the inside, and then the kind of, the cheap speed of KG's Pistol Annie could be a part of it too. But I just think at the end of the day, one way or another is faster than any of these, and it was just kind of a heartbreaker last time. In her last 2 even, she's done all the dirty work up front, and somebody's just come and gotten her late.
See if she could seal the deal today after 2 heartbreakers, one way or another. 8-5 favoritism now. Jim Byers the call. It's the feature on this Friday card from Oaklawn.
Next pair in will be She's Storming and Mozingo. Early dismissal. Mozingo still needs to go in. Now she's moving forward, and the last to load is Guest in My Heart. They're in the gate. And they're off. Good start. Out from the middle, Gramercy Park, Ms. Carroll County, KJ's Pistol Annie, all heading out quickly for the lead. One way or another is prominently placed alongside Pattern Bet. Back to the front end here. It's Ms. Carroll County by a head. Gramercy Park is next in second on the inside. One way or another, a length and a half off that top pair. Followed by Mozingo. She's ranged into 4th from the far outside. Pattern Bet splits rivals in 5th. Gap of some 4 then to Amazing Debate and a dropping back KJ's Pistol Annie. Guest in My Heart 3 wide outside of her. Then She's Storming. Early dismissal is a long way back as they come to the top of the stretch. Gramercy Park has the lead as they move off the turn. It's Gramercy Park. Here on the outside is Mozingo ranging up. Back toward the inside, Ms. Carroll County. One way or another has dropped out of it. As they move through the stretch, Mozingo gaining strongly here. Amazing Debate getting into it, diving to the inside. Gramercy Park from between still second. It's going to be Mozingo slugging it out. Another for Jerry Karoom as an owner. Wins it a neck to Gramercy Park, then Amazing Debate, an early dismissal from last for 4th.
Tom Amos, Christian Torres, Mozingo coming up with a win. She did move forward.
Yeah, 3rd off the layoff. Often when we see horses take that move forward, and really a great ride. Once again, in the right position from Christian Torres, and she delivered. I thought a very good effort by number 2, Gramercy Park. I mean, what was Ricardo Santana supposed to do? The favorite didn't go. He was inside of Ms. Carroll County. He had to use her a bit, and she still ran valiantly in the end, but it was all about the horse who had the momentum and the trip in the middle of the racetrack in number 10, Mozingo.
60 to 1 shot. Hang on for 3rd here.
Yes, sir.
Amazing Debate. Wow, 10 to 1.
5.
Another huge price.
Yeah.
If you played the super early dismissal. Wow. Mozingo, little tough to come up with the prior races she had run. She takes a big move forward from the top trainers in the country. Our colleague Tom Amos, he's going to love this. And meets leading rider Christian Torres with another victory here. 8 to 1 winner. We'll have the prices for you. Still have the finale ahead as well. We're going to look ahead to Saturday. And that big one in the Distaff division coming up. Grade 2 Azaria, the Kentucky Oaks winner from last year. She is back for legendary D. Wayne Lucas, Secret Oath. We'll talk about her chances in her 4-year-old debut next.
An obligatory goes by the ball. comes Malatha. Here comes Clarier on the outside, and it's going to be Clarier. Nest, much the best. She won by better than 10 lengths. And Elite Power gets up to win the sprint outside. It's Malatha coming to the wire. Who's it going to be? Here's the wire. Oh, the wish has come true. That one's for you, Cody.
Would you believe that champions weren't measured by rings, but by a crown? That the history books were written on dirt? That the greatest of all time was a horse?
He is moving like a tremendous machine.
Experience the magic at this year's Belmont Stakes as we honor the 50th anniversary of Secretariat's legendary Triple Crown Triumph. Join the celebration at Belmont Park on Saturday, June 10th. Tickets on sale now at BelmontStakes.com.
Introducing a stallion, as top class as they come. In 22 career starts, he won or placed in 12 graded stakes, competing in 15 grade ones, earning over $1.7 million. His undisputed speed is evidenced by 7 100-plus buyer speed figures, a 3-time Grade 1 winner, Raging Bull.
Now more than ever, it's time to get with the program. When shopping for your next race prospect, consider that New York breds start with an advantage. Our New York breds run for serious green. At Saratoga Race Meet, New York bred maidens run for up to $88,000. New York bred allowance horses run for up to $100,000. And New York bred owners can collect awards of up to $20,000 per horse per race. So get back with the program. Seriously.
We're back on America's Day at the Races, program brought to you in part by Hill & Dale at a lap. But thanks for being with us on this Friday afternoon. Feature in the books in Hot Springs, and it goes to Tom Amoss, Jerry Karoom, and Christian Torres with Mazingo.
A great ride by Christian Torres in here, and Jerry Karoom having a nice meet as an owner, and she went off at 8 to 1, $18.60, and really no-show performances by the two favorites in here, one way or another, and pattern bet.
Pioneering Papa Karoom, one with Secret Fix on today's card as well. Let's go to Paul for more.
Well, I think hopefully everybody will start learning their lesson here at Oaklawn Park and not leaving Christian Torres out at a price. You told me before, this is a horse that's been having problems at the gate, and you told the trainer, let's put some blinkers on. Blinkers went on last time, and they worked today.
Yeah, the first time I rode her, she kind of like broke a step slow. And then she was behind horses, and I felt, she was kind of hesitating to, go on, and she was kind of like going, then she stopped. She was kind of, paying more attention to the horses than actually focus on the race. And I suggest to the assistant to, maybe blinkers will help her, she'd be more focused on the race, and definitely work out.
Tom Amoss, one of our colleagues, and I know he's very, very detailed. Did he give you a call?
No, not really. No, he didn't give me a call, but the assistant, she told me that what Tom want me to know, and it worked out. She's a nice filly, and today we had a post on the outside, and I thought it was going to be a perfect for her, and it worked out perfectly.
Well, great ride, and I know Tom Amoss very well. If he didn't give you instructions, he's trusted in Christian Torres. That's why he's the leading rider here at Oaklawn Park.
It's been an incredible meet for that young man, Christian Torres. Good for him, well-deserved.
Absolutely. It just shows that hard work does pay off. And the thing about Christian is he's really passionate, Greg. I mean, he does his homework. He loves his horses. And you get him talking about a horse, and he'll, dive in deep with you and take you through the races and everything. So I could not be happier for him. Newlywed as well.
Congratulations, Christian. Big one tomorrow in the Distaff division, named after one of the greats, Azeri. Named 2002 Horse of the Year. She was champion older female from 2002 to 2004. Hall of Famer. 5 grade 1s in that Horse of the Year campaign when she went 8 for 9.
She was amazing, wasn't she? I mean, just gritty as they come. You want to say they don't make them like that anymore, but I don't think they do, Greg.
She was incredible. Won that Horse of the Year campaign award with Laura Desaru and the Dwayne Lucas takeover, and had her when she won the race we just showed you. Yeah, and that Go for One. She also won the Grade 1 Spinster with Dwayne. 17 for 24 lifetime, over $4 million in earnings.
Just incredible mare. And she wasn't. Am I right? Did she produce much? I feel like she was one of those ones that, she didn't. She was awesome on the racetrack, and she just didn't produce much. Sometimes it just doesn't carry over.
This year's edition of the Azeri, a lot of intrigue with who's returning. 4-year-old filly debut coming up for last year's Oaks winner, Secret Oath, and a 5-year-old return for 2-time Grade 1 winner, Clairiere, who won the Phipps and the Cotillion back as a 3-year-old for Steve Asmussen.
I'm looking forward to this showdown. It just felt as though, okay, we're talking about Clairiere, but look, she ran huge. She put together a great record last year. It was just Malathat standing in her way. She did not have a very good beginning. 2 back in the personal ensign. Here she is, a part of that 3-horse photo, going back to the Breeders' Cup Distaff. She came up on the wrong end of that photo, finishing third.
Beat her twice, though, last year.
I know, exactly. And she's shown that she certainly doesn't mind it out there at Oaklawn Park, running really well in the Apple Blossom behind Latruska. So I got a lot of love for Clairiere, even though she tried to bite me last time I was standing right outside her stall there at Oaklawn. She's all race mare. I love it.
Always scares me.
She's like, come here, let me get
the nastiest one I ever met, Lost in the Fog, that sprinter.
Oh, really?
Oh, he wanted to bite your whole arm off.
Yeah, he was cool, though.
They warned me, though. They said, go see him, but stay away.
Yeah, Monomoy Girl was not nice either. She was...
Secret Oath coming off the bench as well for her 4-year-old return. And that first half of last year, she really dominated the 3-year-old filly division.
She did. She put in a taxing campaign, though, Greg. 9 starts as a 3-year-old filly, it's admirable, but it also takes a toll, I think. And she got pretty light towards the tail end of last year. So I'm so glad that they put her away after the Breeders' Cup. She's gotten time to regroup, hopefully grow, fill out a bit more. And she's coming back to the racetrack of her second biggest performances, I should say, to this Kentucky Oaks. But she's facing a very formidable, older now mare in Clairiere.
I agree. So this is where she became who she is, really. Yeah. With that Honeybee win, she actually ran very good defeat in the Arkansas Derby. Biggest win, obviously, came with the Kentucky Oaks, but she knows these grounds well. We'll see how she fares, and if she can move forward as a 4-year-old.
Sure.
She is going to be awfully tough on Saturday. Let's go to Paul, get his thoughts on this big showdown in the Distaff division. Paulie.
Well, I think it's an interesting showdown. Obviously, Clairiere is going to probably go off as your favorite. I would think so. And, talking to Steve, she was actually in the paddock earlier today. She looked tremendous. But I always say this all the time. Steve's got the best car wash in the business. I mean, his horses turn out just unbelievable. Now, Secret Oath, I thought when she was breeding, I thought she looked well, too. Now, Tyler Gaffleone's going to get aboard for the first time. Luis Sayas, the regular rider, will not be aboard. Now, there's supposed to be a little bit of rain early tomorrow, and then there's supposed to be rain a little bit after. I think that would help Secret Oath's chances if we did get some more rain, but we don't know if that's going to be till later in the card. But Clairiere, I'm looking forward to it as well, and I'm also looking forward to Hot and Sultry. This is the biggest class test she's ever had, but I know that Norm Cassie is very, very high on her. So I think she's just going to try to say, okay, let's see how I stack up against some of the best mares. But, at age 5, you look at horses like Curlin and some of those other horses that got great, like Gun Runner at age 5, and you're wondering if Clairiere can keep taking those steps forward.
Big question for both these two. Coming back as a 4-year-old for Secret Oath, coming back as a 5-year-old for Clairiere.
Oh, I'm all about Clairiere coming back as a 5-year-old. I think this could be her year. Just kind of push Malathat aside. She's not playing anymore. It's her time to shine.
Nest is still out there.
Oh, yes. Well, yeah, there's Nest. But looking forward to seeing where she pops.
Again, I love this division year in and year out. It's so much fun. And this really
good.
feels...
The last decade to 20 years, it's
incredible.
Been good. Very good.
This is kind of the first, I don't know if it's the first, but it feels like the first real big showdown we've had in this division to kick off this year. We're going to take a break. We'll be back More coming up. Huge day Saturday, not just that road to the Kentucky Derby, terrific undercard. And we'll talk more about just the Tampa Bay Derby when we come back. Stay with us. Much more coming up on America's Day at the Races.
Honor AP, a mesmerizing horse from the very beginning, who captured the imagination of the racing world and proved his potential on the track. A Grade 1 winner, out of a multiple Grade 1 winner, with incomparable looks and an unbeatable pedigree. The speed, the bloodline, the physical. Honor AP. Only at Lane's End.
In its 97th season, Tampa Bay Downs has plenty of history. Today, there are many new things to see and do, and perhaps most importantly, the track's racing surfaces have become a big draw for owners and trainers looking to find the winner's circle.
You know, I'm not gonna lie, the turf course is beautiful. And when we started training, me and my wife, we had horses that were turf horses, and we needed to spend the winter somewhere. So we give it a go, and we really enjoy the place, the atmosphere, and the fact that horses winter very well.
Well, as you can see, everybody comes here to run on the turf, get their horses ready for going north. And the dirt track is, when you leave here, you can pretty well win at any track. The horses get legged up good here, and it's a very safe track.
We just want to give our horses enough foundation and experience to be able to obviously go to bigger meets, meaning Kinlan, New York, and you know how tough that can be. And we feel that Tampa is the right place to do so.
There are several places to enjoy all of that great racing, with new stadium seating in the grandstand, covered cabanas on the first floor, and the veranda, which gives your group the best seat in the house, directly across from the winner's circle. There's more fun to be had next door at the Downs Golf Practice Facility, which was launched in 2003.
We offer a fully stocked pro shop. We carry about 9 different brands of apparel, clubs, golf balls, gloves, you name it. Full short game area. You can actually bet the horses inside of our pro shop. We like to call ourselves the only driving range where you can bet horses and play golf in the same day at the same location. You know, joining the golf with the racetrack for families is perfect. You know, you can come over here, hit some golf balls, and then go have some lunch over at the track and play the horses. And there's obviously a lot of stuff to do over there for kids as well. So it's a perfect place.
Fans can also experience the Silks Poker Room on the 3rd floor with a variety of high-stakes games and tournament competition. Whatever you're looking for on race day, you can find it at Tampa Bay Downs.
The word is approachable, both as a fan and as an owner. Everybody that you run into wants you to be here. you have a real connection to the people, and I'm talking from the racing office all the way down to concessions. So it's just a great place to be an owner. It's a great place to train horses. It's probably the best surface in the country, and there's no better place to be in the winter.
Family feel, and obviously that turf course, people rave about it. We're going to talk about one of the turf races on that undercard tomorrow on Tampa Bay Derby Day. Grade 2 Hillsborough. Looking forward to that Grade 3 Tampa Bay Derby. Of course, with Tapit Trice on the road to that first Saturday in May. Let's talk Temple City Terror, though. 1.1 miles on the turf. Coming back now as a 7-year-old for Brendan Walsh. As you said to me off air, if this race was maybe a little longer, probably is the, I don't know if the horse to beat, but certainly one of them.
Look, she's kind of, and especially towards the tail end of last year, she's winning our Long Island here, or at the Big A. She stamped herself as kind of the queen of these long marathon distance turf races for the fillies and mares, and I just noticed how well she was doing at the tail end of that 6-year-old campaign, and the fact that they bring her back now as a 7-year-old, look, it would probably be easy for them to, just say, okay, she's done enough, she has plenty of black type, but no, they bring her back. I like what I've seen in her workouts. Again, as you said, it's probably just a jumping off point to get this 7-year-old campaign going, but for further distances. But it's kind of a race where, Shantasara is installed at 2-1, and she has the race, the second place effort, and the
Grade
Pegasus
1 winner.
World Cup, blah, 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 whatever race that is, coming in here. But, I thought it was a little bit more wide open than that.
I agree. You have the other part of that Chad Brown duo, Rozier, looked like her States debut. It looked like she was primed to be his next superstar.
Right.
Has not panned out.
And two, you have the two horses that participated in the prep for this Hillsborough coming back from the Endeavor. Surprisingly, who won it, who was a little bit of a surprise. I thought she ran well as Scottish Star, who had the duel on the front end. And again, she could work out to be the pace. She draws the outside again, but at least it's only a field of 7 as opposed to 11.
And Gam's Mission, Sharita Vogt, she ran a
go.
very good number, but she's been off for a long time.
She has been, but she has definitely hinted at being this type of caliber horse. So it's a little bit of an ambitious spot off the layoff, but one that I'm looking forward to getting back to the races, and certainly one that I think fits the 1 1/8 best.
Part of Saturday's cross-country pick 5, intriguing one, includes the Tampa Bay Derby as well, and it includes a correction in New York. Still got the Nightcap coming up at Oaklawn on this Friday card. Going to close things out in Hot Springs with a $20,000 maiden claiming sprint at 6 furlongs. Thorn Crown. Steve Asmussen with Ricardo Santana Jr. Current 65 favorite.
She is the drop down in here, but has not done much running, at least in her first start for the Asmussen barn. But she looked great in the paddock from what I saw.
The 8, interesting.
I'm
Speed
with
against
you.
better.
And
dropping.
the 10. I like the 10 a little bit.
This Sweet Candy, another one that showed a little speed, put in a middle move last start. We'll be back. Nightcap coming up from Oaklawn Park right after this.
War Dancer. The momentum continues with recent stakes winners on turf and dirt. Dancing Buck going wire to wire in the Grade 3 Belmont Turf.
Dancing Buck has opened up on the field. It is Dancing Buck by a half dozen lengths.
And 2-year-old filly War Saichi with a wire-to-wire win in the Ladyfinger Stakes.
War Saichi asserted her authority immediately out of the starting gate, and she has not relinquished the lead.
War Dancer, the #1 third crop turf sire in North America. Proud to stand in New York.
This season at Oaklawn, we've got more of everything. More of the top thoroughbreds in the world. More days of live racing. And the largest purses in our history. All at a completely reimagined Oaklawn. Come be a part of this historic season at Arkansas's only casino resort.
Bet the racing action at Aqueduct, Oaklawn, and Santa Anita to score a $15 bonus each Sunday in March. Bet $50 on each track to take home $15, win or lose. Opt in at NyraBets.com.
RaceLens is the most in-depth product in horse racing with unique features found nowhere else. True odds, predictive analysis, and pace projection. RaceLens. It will change the way you follow horse racing and take your game to the next level.
Racetrack Television Network brings you every race, from every track, on every screen, every day. With monthly packages starting as low as $5, RTN gives you great value and access to more live HD streaming and race replays than anyone. Visit RTN.tv today to sign up and watch on almost any device, including Roku and Amazon Fire. RTN has packages that start at $5 per month.
This Saturday, Kentucky Derby points are on the line at Tampa Bay Downs. Tune into America's Day at the Races for live coverage featuring Lafitte Pinkai and Acacia Clement on site for the Grade 3 Tampa Bay Derby. Catch all the action from 3 to 6:30 Eastern on FS2. During Leo McLaughlin's 22-year run as mayor of Hot Springs, starting in 1926, the city became a haven for notorious criminals and gangsters, most notably Al Capone.
A lot of people aren't aware of the fact that in 1931, Las Vegas, Nevada had 5,000 people in it and no high-rise hotels. Everyone was there to build the Boulder Dam, which became the Hoover Dam. At the same time, in 1931, Hot Springs had 20,500 people in it, 22 high-rise hotels, and $100 million in gambling income. The only difference was here in Arkansas, it was illegal, but it was okay.
During the spring, tourists could find themselves rubbing elbows with gangsters and Major League Baseball players.
Everyone year-round could enjoy the hot mineral baths, hunting and fishing and gambling. But in the spring, it was the opening of the live thoroughbred race meet at Oaklawn Park. And man, was it a happening place.
I was trying to think, too. Welcome back to America's Day at the Races. Did Al Capone get a lot of tips? Because if you gave him a tip and it was wrong,
Ooh, that's scary.
probably did not go well. What a history in Hot Springs. Nightcap coming up, 20 maiden claiming sprint. And here's a look at the 10. At 4-1 Tis Sweet Candy, who you like a little.
I mean, the last race, she was far outside post, yet again, made a middle move and just came up short.
Nellie Larkin, start number 3, actually debuted against Maiden Special at Prairie Meadows.
Looks like a short cup cheater blinker goes on for this start as David Cabrera climbs aboard.
5-1 Singing Emma.
Yeah, I thought she was just kind of even in her last start. Does take a slight drop in class again.
Miss McComber.
She's made a good impression. I mean, I know she's a long shot and she hasn't done much running, but she looks good out there physically.
Step on the foot feet. Still trying to figure this one out.
I mean, what's there to figure out? She's pretty slow.
It's the name.
Yeah,
Thorn
I know,
Crown.
it's tough.
Ricardo Santana Jr. went by. Here's a 7. Her name was Lola.
I guess she improved mildly last time. But interesting story. We had the Kylie Jordan feature. She's riding for her dad here.
And maybe the one to catch here makes I'm Beth Dutton interesting at 7-2.
She was getting out a little bit on the turn. She wears an extension blinker, Greg. I don't love to see that.
And again, Tis Sweet Candy, 4-1.
Yeah, I'll take my chances with her. I mean, I know the apprentice rider is up again. It was probably a little bit of a mistake to kind of go and attack going 5 wide into the turn. She had the lead at the quarter pole. She just came up short. She didn't switch leads, but I'm hoping she just needed the race. And she was a big price that day. So it wasn't like she was intended to win, but hopefully she can build upon that effort.
Big name shows up in the debut against Thorn Crown. She had to deal with Classy Bridget when she showed a little bit of talent and backed up, but 3-2. Does anyone deserve to be that price here, Paulie?
Oh, that's a good question, Greg. I mean, when you look at the field, does she deserve to be 3-2? I don't know about 3-2, but she deserves to be the favorite in here. When you look back to her race 2 back, she stumbled badly at the start, and that wasn't under the Steve Asmussen care. And I thought she showed some speed. Now, last time out, she just could not get to the front end. That was just a way better field than this. Candy Caramel won the race. I think the horse that ran second came back to win. So I do think Thorn Crown is definitely the horse to catch and beat here. But you made a great point about the 8. I'm Beth Dutton, a Washington bred for Michael Puich and Tyler Bays. These are connections that go way back to Emerald Downs, and usually Washington breds show a ton of speed. This horse did. So, no pun intended, is the 8 going to be a thorn in Thorn Crown's side here as they go? Now, Maggie's horse that she likes a little bit, the 10, I thought looked really well. This horse broke slow first time, recovered very quickly, and, sort of just made like that middle move and then got hung out way wide and probably got a lot of fitness out of that race. And, with the scratch of the 9 and the 5, you do get to go inside a couple, so you're only in the A path. So, I do think the 6 is the horse to beat. The 2 is interesting to me because I thought the 2 ran a little bit better off the layoff. And then the 7, her name is Lola, is a horse that just cannot get out of the gate. But if they go fast on the front end, she could be flying late. Her name was Lola. She was a showgirl with yellow feathers in her hair and dress cut down to there. I know you like to cha-cha merengue.
I'm not scared to admit I'm a huge Manilow fan.
I am not.
How can you not be?
I mean, I don't know. Maybe because I'm more Frank Sinatra vibes.
You can be both. JK, I know you got some Manilow going in there in the iPods.
I on my podcast, I always tell this joke that if you have a full name, like a first and last name, as a musician, I don't know who you are. I need, Jay-Z and Biggie, and I don't know anyone who's got a first and last name. Don't know them. Speaking of first and last names, I'm Beth Dutton. I also don't watch Yellowstone. But I will tell you this. There are some other good shows you should watch. Ted Lasso's outstanding. Succession's great. Maybe check out a little bit of Logan Roy. I don't know this Beth Dutton character. I'm sure it's very interesting, and people are going to be tweeting at me about not knowing it. But I do think this horse, I think she has a nice little shot in here. If you look at her last race, she was bet for 50. They bet her a little bit for 50 off of a layoff. And she showed some early speed, but Tyler lost a stirrup in that race. And lost the iron and it just kind of seemed to maybe lose a little bit of control. I think that she actually has a little bit of talent. Now she drops in class a little bit. She's drawn outside of her main competition. I do like the 8. I'm Beth Dutton a little bit, even though I don't necessarily like Yellowstone.
It's okay. I'm not a Yellowstone fan either. Are you?
JK, no, I have not seen it. JK's going to be very jealous, though. I walked by Ted Lasso's apartment over the holidays.
You're so cool.
It was great. It was great. And I had pictures of them all over. Paulie, what do you got for us?
Well, I was going to ask JK while he's still there, is Copacabana, is that considered yacht rock? Or is Yanni yacht rock?
Is that the one? I'm at the Copacabana. I think that's just like
see?
just like
see.
That's
you just can't help but shake and wiggle. Well, you can't help.
That's just a margarita at some resort music, right? I don't know if that counts as yacht rock.
Okay, I get it. But listen to me. If Copacabana came on, Greg, I would take you on the floor and merengue with you.
Absolutely, Paulie. We would get down. No question. Even money on the 6, Thorn Crown.
The one thing I know, Greg, is none of us are as cool as JK.
He likes to think so.
He makes us believe it.
Even money on the 6. Jim Byers, the call. It's a Nightcap from Oaklawn.
Day. Oaklawn's 9th. The last to load is Tis Sweet Candy. They're in the gate. And they're off. From the outside, I'm Beth Dutton speeding off early. Thorn Crown is next in second. Step on the foot feet gets out in third. And now from between horses, there goes Singing Emma. She's into third from the inside, followed closely to the outside by Tis Sweet Candy. Then it's Nellie Larkin. She's placed on the inside in fifth. The step on the foot feet drops back. Inside of her is Mrs. McCumber. Her name was Lola, trails the field while 3 wide as they circle that far turn. I'm Beth Dutton is the target. She leads it by 2 lengths to Thorn Crown, who's being pushed a little bit here to keep up at the 5/16. Inside of her is Singing Emma. Tis Sweet Candy, fairly prominently placed on the outside in fourth. And then 2.5 farther back to Nellie Larkin as they straighten away. The leader is I'm Beth Dutton. Several challengers, Thorn Crown alongside, 'Tis Sweet Candy. Right on the inside is Singing Emma, and way, way out there is Nellie Larkin as they move through the stretch. Singing Emma has grabbed the lead here. A 9-1 upset brewing, and it's happening. Singing Emma draws clear from I'm Beth Dutton. 'Tis Sweet Candy was third. Thorn Crown fourth.
What just happened here? It looked like the 8 had this race wrapped up. I'm Beth Dutton got to the front, and all of a sudden, inside open for Singing Emma.
Yeah, okay. As you heard the caller say, a bit of an upset at 9-1. Jim Byers, yeah, Beth Dutton getting out doesn't help her chances.
8-1, 9-1 to close out this card. Two very difficult ones. For me, could have been double that price. Tough to come up with.
Yeah, I know. And my 10 just doesn't switch leads. Can't win races when you don't switch leads.
And I was kidding. JK is the coolest. Of course. I was kidding. We can't compete. We love you, JK. Back tomorrow. We've got a huge show tomorrow. Hearts, buddy. Road to the Kentucky Derby picks back up. Tampa Bay with a Tampa Bay Derby and Tapit Trice back in action. Huge Distaff showdown as well. And the Grade 2 Azeri show starts 3 Eastern tomorrow. FS2, there she is. Last year's Kentucky Oaks winner for Dwayne Lucas, set to make her 4-year-old return to the races. She will draw the rail in her comeback effort. She's got to deal with this one, though. 5-year-old returning for Steve Asmussen at Stone Street. Clairiere, the 2-time Grade 1 winner, primed for a huge campaign. And on the road to the Derby, Todd Pletcher already has the leader in the clubhouse with Forte. Is this the new shooter? Tapit Trice.